There we go. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Nerdcast. It's Devin, broadcasting as always live from an undisclosed location in the center of Texas on a pretty chill Thursday. I had to remind myself it was Thursday.
Yeah.
Joined with Justin. Back after a long absence. Yo, Shield Bearer Studios, welcome back to the stream. How are you doing? Happy Thursday to you as well. Hope you're having a pretty good day. It's been a while since you've been here.
It's been a long time.
I don't remember. When
I think I only streamed here once. That's how long it's been. Like I did one maybe by Zoom, and then I came here once before.
Really? For
stream. Like we played D&D and stuff, but like I want to say I've only done one stream, maybe two tops.
Oh wow.
From this new undisclosed location.
I could disclose the last location, I guess, if I wanted to.
Yeah, you could now.
I'm not gonna, but I guess I could. But I drive by that place every now and then too, because I still have a little bit of anger about, because they
still a little bit bitter about the whole thing. Laying it down.
Yeah, because they like sold the house off from underneath me. They asked me for an offer. Okay, so hold on a second. Enough of that.
Yeah.
Let me do some of this.
I'm like bobbing my head, but I'm not really sure if I'm on beat, like if it's in sync when it goes out to the world. So you're like,
it's always a little off sync.
Yeah.
Great, haven't popped in a while. I've been so busy. Hope you've been well. I've been pretty good. I still have your game on deck to get back to again, but after watching Fallout, I got interested in the Fallout world, so I'm diving into that now. I just beat something else recently, but I can't even remember what I just beat.
Was it that vampire game? You were playing some kind of vampire game. Shadows of the Vampire, or Vampire Shadows.
None of that sounds familiar.
Maybe it wasn't a vampire game. Maybe I misunderstood.
It's possible. Maybe, but I could also be. I mean, I have so many games that it's also possible I just forget what I have. But yeah. So like when I was at that place, they sold it off from underneath me. They gave me a chance to like make an offer, and I gave them my offer.
But it was like they wanted way too much for it.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. Once I moved out and like they started showing the house off to people, I just kept like watching it on Zillow and shit, and it would just constantly be like price drop, price cut, month after month, and I'm like, these idiots could have been at least getting, money from me in the interim.
Yeah.
But like eventually they didn't sell the house, and they had to rent it back out again. So they just ate shit on like probably 5 months worth of,
They probably were just like, dude, we're not selling it for this low. It'll go back up eventually. Yeah. We just got to keep it rented and wait it out.
Yeah. So, I mean, every now and then I just drive by just out of spite, just to see,
Put some dog poop in a bag on the porch.
I like this house better than that house, but this neighborhood is just too far out in the nothing.
It's pretty far.
Yeah.
I told you I'd be here before 8, and I was like...
You're like, am I still driving? What's happening here?
This is far. It's like my brother moved to Lakeway. He's like, nah, it's not that far. And then like a couple years later, he's like, yeah, it's pretty far.
Lakeway.
Yeah, he's like,
Lakeway's not that far for like a weekend junket. Where it's we're going to go to Lakeway for the weekend. But like, if you got to go back and forth on a daily commute, then it's like, what was I thinking?
Yeah. I mean, he doesn't really come into town.
Vampire Survivors.
There you go. Okay. Boom. They called it. Thank you.
But he didn't finish that.
I thought I had hallucinated.
I did good enough. I'm going to say I finished it. I'll get back to it eventually, because that's the one that I play when I walk on the treadmill. But I did pretty good in Vampire Survivors. I got a lot done. I got a lot accomplished.
Are you a vampire or are you a survivor in the game? Are there vampires coming after you, or you have to survive them, or you're a vampire survivor? You're just like...
You know what? I got to be honest with you. I don't think I've seen a single vampire in that game.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, it's like a Castlevania god, but you're mostly fighting bats or skeletons or...
There are no vampires in the game.
There are no vampires. Okay, there you go. That's your answer. No vampires in Vampire Survivor. Why would there be?
You've already survived them.
That's why it's called Vampire Survivor.
They're not in the game. You survived vampires, and now you're fighting Medusa.
It's celebrating your survival of the vampires.
Exactly.
So Yeah, anyways. Yeah, I guess it's been a while since you've been here. I can't remember what we last talked about.
I mean, I'm sure just all the craziness, but it seems like the world has gotten even crazier since then. Like it seems like whatever was happening then would seem quaint by comparison to now.
Yeah, probably. That's probably accurate. But I also feel like we've reached a point where even like the most insane thing, like, are you surprised by anything anymore? Is there any like, whoa, I wasn't expecting that?
I guess not. Maybe from a technological standpoint, a little bit, because it seems like for so long technology moved so
At a glacial pace.
You know what I mean? And now it seems like it is rapidly, like pretty soon there are gonna be robots everywhere. They're gonna be smarter than us. You know what I mean?
Well, it only really seems like there's just one element of technology that's advancing, which is AI.
Yeah.
But
and robots.
Are robots advancing?
Oh yeah, dude.
I saw one video of like a humanoid type robot. I forget who was responsible for it, but
Boston Dynamics has a new robot, and it got up. It was like laying down, and they introduced it a few days ago, and it got up, and its joints are all 360, so it gets up, and you're behind it. The camera's behind it, and then it like the whole body twists around, and like, as it's coming towards you, its legs just, oh, dude.
Like a horror movie?
It is exactly like a horror movie.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, you can find it on YouTube.
You know what? We need to fucking deal with these nerds already, all right? Enough of this shit. They're like sitting in the lab, concocting the most hellish...
I want to roll it back to 1985. I don't think we are any better off. You know what I mean? We could just go back to like, you know.
I mean, I like smartphones, but that's about.
I could deal without them. I could do without them.
I guess I like being able to look up directions on the map.
That's cool. I like that too, but I
don't want to go back to printing out.
This is it.
Is this it? Okay, hold on.
Yeah, I mean even before printing out, like you had to look at a Mapsco. Did you ever use the Mapsco? Thomas Guide? Anything one of those things?
McNeely?
Those things, they worked great.
I think I used a McNeely map or something at some point before.
It was a book, and you would have a grid point, and you would look in the back with an index, and it would like, you know, give you a grid point, and you'd go find it on the Mapsco.
All right, is this the guy?
That's the guy. I'm not sure this is the video that I saw, but it might be. It's okay, yeah, it is.
Oh my god.
Oh, dude, it hadn't even got started yet. He's just getting warmed up.
Could they have
a vision of your grisly death?
Could they have made this thing more intimidating?
I don't know. Probably not.
Oh my god. I like how it starts from a position
of,
it's useless. It's dead.
And its legs fold back like the fucking Exorcist, dude.
Oh my god.
And I also like how it's named 001. As in more to come, dude.
Man, fuck Boston Dynamics. What are they doing over there? It even sounds threatening. The way that it's stuck.
Imagine an army of like 500 of them. That would be like.
Oh, we're not gonna have to imagine it. That's gonna happen. Like, that's like the next step. That's why it's 001. It's not 01.
Yeah,
it's 001.
There's gonna be at least 999 of those things.
What is Farewell to HD Atlas?
Oh, that's the one before. That's the predecessor.
Oh, this is the.
It's just kind of his greatest hits. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay. Well, shit, that was kind of
So he was all hydraulic based. You actually see him bust his ass a bunch of times in that video, and like hydraulic fluid.
Boston Dynamics posted a teaser video of its new all-electric Atlas robot, showing the humanoid number 001 standing up from a lying down position, swiveling its body around to face the camera, with a glowing head that resembles a ring light, and then turning and walking out of frame. The robot's limbs and torso seem to be omnidirectional, with the ability to rotate in any direction, while its face appears to be a simple round piece of glass, likely containing an array of cameras and an antenna on the back of its head. The robot turns its head before its torso to turn and walk away, giving off a sci-fi movie vibe. The description of the video reads, "We are unveiling the next generation of humanoid robots, a fully electric Atlas robot designed for real-world applications." The 26-second video clip comes a day after the robotics company posted a heartfelt farewell tribute video to its hydraulic Atlas robot, which has been in development for almost 11 years. The Atlas robot was first developed by DARPA, the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, and slowly evolved over
because
the
they
last
only
decade
develop
from
things
the original pet
killing
robot,
yeah.
one of their first bipedal robots, into the impressive dancing and acrobatic robot we've come to know in a number of clever demonstrations.
Oh, we're past the dancing robot phase. This next robot is going to be here to fucking
to market. Boston Dynamics
hold a rifle and point it at your children's
Oh, dude, there's already a robot came out like 3 days ago that it's one of those dog robots with a flamethrower.
I saw that, which is like, as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, everybody's neighborhood. If you have like a Tesla tech bro living in your neighborhood, it's got to get burned to the ground.
If there's a Cybertruck,
if there's a Cybertruck anywhere in your neighborhood,
within a mile and a half of your house,
yo, Lulu, welcome back.
Probably
to the
in
stream.
danger.
Did you try your cheesecake yet? I'm about to have some of mine now. Yes, I did. It's very dangerous. She took me to I don't know if you've ever been to
Cheesecake Factory?
Not Cheesecake Factory. It's a Japanese place, I guess, or maybe it's not. But
Mashishino?
It's in that shopping area that was revitalized.
Kinokuma?
Yeah. It used to be like a post-apocalyptic wasteland, and then the Koreans came in and turned it into like one of the most booming economic expansions Austin has ever seen. Every time I go to that area, I struggle to find a parking lot.
Yeah,
and it's a big space, so
yeah,
that place is happening. But yeah, there's a place in there that sells like a Japanese cheesecake that is fucking amazing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's pillowy. It's light.
I don't really like cheesecake, but I know two people that do.
Well, you may want to take them there and try it out.
Oh, they are. They go there all the time. Juniper.
Oh, really?
Like, oh, yeah. She's way off into anime, and she's in like full weeb arc.
Okay. Well, then they're already familiar with that.
They go there all the time. Like,
gotcha.
But I don't know about they may not know about the Japanese cheesecake place though.
Yeah, I forget what it's called. It's like Uncle something or other.
It's not actually cheesecake.
Uncle Tetsu, that's what it is. Yeah, Uncle Tetsu Japanese cheesecake.
Oh, okay.
It's not actually cheesecake. It's a cake made of mostly whipped egg whites. Well,
from the land of wind and ghosts.
It's good though. It is good. I mean, I shouldn't be eating it, but it's delicious. I'm taking my time with it. They said it'll keep in the fridge for like 3 days, so I'm being very deliberate in how I go through it.
Wow.
That's what I have to do nowadays.
Yeah, the struggle's real. I actually count how many potato chips I eat now. I'm like,
yeah, you told me that last time.
I know. Well, I know exactly how many calories each chip is. So it's like I eat one, I'm like 10, 30.
It's 10 calories a chip.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Most potato chips are like 10 calories a chip. I think that's probably like the bigger chips, and the small little guys are probably less, obviously.
What about tortilla chips?
Tortilla chips are actually 15.
See, that's how they get you.
Yeah, I mean,
no one just eats a tortilla chip. They eat it with salsa or queso.
Well, the salsa the queso is bad news. Salsa is very little calories.
Yeah.
It's salsa is actually pretty great, but queso is like you might as well just pour it right into your heart. You know what I mean? It's
actually, for all the queso and shit that I've eaten, I had to go to not for anything. It was because I'd never done it before. I went to a cardiologist and I did a stress test.
Yeah.
So they patched me up, and by the way, there is nothing that'll make you feel like more of a man than having another man delicately shave your chest.
Oh wow.
It's quite a masculine experience. But they patched me up and put me on the treadmill. That shit fucking sucked because they elevate, it has the ramp.
Oh yeah, they did full Ivan Draco on your ass.
Yeah, they did. Because they're measuring the flow of blood through your arteries and stuff. And mine was all clear. They were like, "Hey, everything's going great." And I was like, "Cool, awesome."
That's awesome.
All the queso and bacon cheeseburgers, it hasn't come back on me just yet. Not that I'm gonna, continue to indulge to the degree that I did in my younger years, but
yeah, it's you gotta all things in moderation. I don't know. It's weird. I don't get as much. Not that I ever got a ton of enjoyment. I mean, I love burgers, but it's like, is bacon on there? I can take or leave the bacon. Melted cheese is kind of like. Did you know that most of the flavor in cheese is actually lost when you heat it up?
Yeah,
So
that makes some sense.
Yeah, you can't.
Although I mean,
like
some
a
cheese
gooey,
is just very flavorful, though.
It's a gooey substance to use to hold stuff together. You know what I mean? It looks great. You know what I mean? But like cheese is actually the most flavorful when it's cold. You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean it's weird. I actually had they didn't put me on the treadmill and stuff, but they came and did a full EKG and all that kind of stuff when I got life insurance.
Yeah.
In like 2011 or 12, so a long time ago. But they told me that I was in the peak of physical health, dude. I couldn't do like 12 push-ups, but they did the thing and they were like, I have to tell you that you, sir, are in the peak of physical health. I was like, are you serious?
You know what?
I think your machine is broken.
It's because you drink a shit ton of tea.
Maybe. I still do. So.
Yeah. Like, I'm surprised you don't have any on you right now.
I actually finished it. That was what I was drinking when I came in. I finished it.
I'm telling you, all that tea, that's my issue. I need to force myself to like tea to that degree.
Yeah. The secret is the lemon and the sweet and low. Tea is actually probably disgusting if you just drank it like, raw dog. You know what I mean? It's like, you can put some lemon in there and then some sweet and low, not sugar, because, Jesus, you might as well just eat sugar right out of the thing. But sweet and low, 0 calories.
Yeah, when I got my surgery, they took a picture of my liver, and it's perfect. Surprising after working in bars most of my life. Yeah, I don't know. I think they said I had a little bit of a fatty liver, but whatever.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna stress too much over that thing, but yeah, I mean, it was just interesting to like have to go through that whole running on the treadmill and then I was ready to hear like, oh, we got to put you on this or that, but no, they were like, yeah, everything looks great, it's flowing perfectly.
It's funny, I don't think I told you the story. I recently went for a checkup, like finally, what I mean? I still have to do like a colonoscopy and some of that stuff, but like I went for a checkup and like they did all this blood work. It turns out I've got like a little bit more of the bad cholesterol maybe than I should or whatever, but they didn't say like you need to go on any medication. They were just like, yeah, it's a little high. But I was just like, okay, I'm gonna go back to living the rest of my life. But they when they gave me the blood work, I passed out.
You passed out from the blood work?
When they took the blood, like I was there talking and I passed out. And when I came to, I was, dude, it was crazy. I passed out, and whatever it is, it freaked them out bad. Because they were like, when I came to, they were like,
scrambling?
Yeah, they were scrambling.
Oh my God.
This was right before Christmas. So they started giving me peppermint bark, which is delicious. And I was like, oh, give me some more of that. But they, I guess my heart rate dropped like super low. You know what I mean? And she was like, well, have you ever passed out before giving blood? I was like, never given blood. But one time she said, okay, we're just going to put the seat up. So in case you pass out, I was like, okay. So they did that. Well, I was talking and then like, dude, it was crazy. It was like I died, right? And I just went on to another life. And then I came back, and for a second, I was perplexed. I was perplexed, dude. I was just like, where am I? Who are you? I don't know who you are. And she was like,
God.
I completely didn't know where I was. And I was just like, who are you? And she's like, sir, you're giving blood. You're having your blood work done at the clinic. I was like, and then I was like thinking, that's right. I didn't know who I was. I was like,
from donating blood?
Not donating,
or not doing
blood work. Yeah. I just like I passed out, and like it's weird. I passed out before, and have you ever passed out before?
I don't think so.
It's pretty wild. It's like it's pretty trippy, dude.
Yeah.
Usually, like we in like middle school or high school, we would do a thing where we would pass ourselves out.
Yeah, I never did that shit.
Yeah, well, I only did it once, but dude, it was wild when I did it because it's like. You know what people describe like near-death experiences? That's what it was like. It was like when I finally came to, I could hear like weird laughing, and Nate was there. It was Nate and my brother. They were both dying laughing because I guess I was drooling, right? And I came to, and I was like, dude, that was like months ago.
Months ago.
Like your sense of distended time. I was like, I'm back here. Holy shit! And like that sense was like, I was completely at a loss. I didn't know who I was. I certainly didn't know who she was. I didn't know where I was, and I was not happy about it. I was panicking. You know what I mean? And she was super nervous because
I imagine so.
I was some rando dude off the street. You know what I mean? And she's like a a nurse. I'm like the 6'3" guy who started like, whoa, what's going on? You know what I mean? And she was like, sir, it's gonna be okay.
It's like you just woke up out of fucking stasis or something.
That's what it was like. I'm telling you, that's what it was like. It was
Wait,
wild.
Did they figure out what happened?
They just like passed out. My blood, I didn't. Well, they did find out what happened because I'm an idiot. That's what happened.
Oh.
So they say when you have your blood work, you're supposed to like fast for like 24 hours or 14 hours, 8 hours or something like that. Anyway,
depending, I guess, on how much they have to take from you, it'll be anywhere between 10 and like 10 or 15 or something like that.
Yeah, they said for me to like fast, but the idea was you're supposed to like go in during the day, like go in early in the day. So if you fast the night before, you go to sleep and you go in the morning, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's not what I did. I like fasted the night before. I woke up. I didn't eat anything that day, and I went at like 6 o'clock. So I really hadn't had any food and or water. And
almost, at 6 in the evening.
In the evening, I went.
Wait, so you fasted for what? Almost 24
hours.
Almost
24 hours. So that when they took the blood, dude, lights out. You know what I'm saying? I was like, anything worth doing is worth overdoing, right? I was like, I really want this to be an accurate reading. So, like, yeah, it was lights out.
So you probably already had low blood pressure.
Yeah.
Going in there, and then, I guess that'll do the trick. Damn. All right. Well, don't do that, everybody. You gotta fast for 10 hours. Just keep it to 10 hours. I faint off. Oh yeah, Lulu, you have fainting spells that you suffer with. I faint often. It's weird. It often feels good on the other side. Coming back is uncomfortable. Oh boy, it doesn't sound like a fun experience.
Well, this time it took me a little while to come back. I was awake and I realized who I was and where I was again, but my vision was all fucked up.
Yeah.
Like I could still see like crazy shit in my vision. And I was like, I'm just letting you guys know I'm not right. Yeah. And they were like, we're working on it. They were giving me pretzels and shit.
We're giving pretzels. Wait, so did they still draw blood after you woke up?
No.
Or they were like, this is it?
They had gotten all the blood they needed by that point.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah.
Damn.
It was fucked up.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's a crazy story.
I also got hit by a car. I'm not sure if I
Wait, when was this?
I was on my bike. It's been I've probably been here. I don't know. I might not have been here since then. I was riding my bike across the street. It was during the summer.
Which is something you should never do in Austin, by the way. Don't ride your bike in Austin.
Dude, a guy was making a left turn, and I thought, like, obviously he sees me. I have the right of way. No, man.
No.
He just right into me, dude. And it knocked me. It luckily he hit my pedals, right? I was upright, so his bumper hit my pedals. He was like an SUV.
Yeah.
Which then sent me back, and I was able to kind of pivot. So I was facing his car kind of up on my feet, but I was sliding because he hit me with a lot of, like, he wasn't going that fast. He was going like probably 10 or 11, 15 miles an hour, something like that. But it's a surprise when you hit with an SUV with that much momentum going that fast.
Yeah.
It's a surprising blow. And so I was flying backwards, and I was like trying to catch him, and it wasn't happening. So I ended up going over backwards on my back. I had a helmet on. And of course,
why you wear a helmet.
Yeah. I got up and I was like, I'm good. Okay. My bike is fucked up. But the people, the other cars, they were furious at this fucking guy.
Yeah, I bet they would be.
And this guy was, I felt bad for him. He was like, he worked at the Infiniti dealership, and he was in an Infiniti, and he was driving it around, moving it from dealership to and he wasn't paying attention, dude. And like, man, like he was Latino, and then some other Latino guy was there and saw him and was just giving him the business in Spanish. I was like,
oh, no.
it was crazy. Like a girl, she stopped. She's like, "Are you okay?" I was like, "I'm okay." Are you okay? And then some guy got out. He's like, "Listen, I want you to know that I saw it happen. Here's my number. I will." And I was like, and the guy was like, trying to he went down the street to turn around and come back, and just some random guy was like just giving him the business in Spanish, and they were like arguing back and forth.
Wait, did the guy work for the Infiniti dealership?
He did.
Oh, dude, you should have sued the shit out of that dealership.
Ah, no, man.
Not the guy, the dealership.
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
I don't want that fucking karma, dude.
Oh, there's no karma is done. We are in a post-karma world. We live in a dystopian hellscape where it's like winner take all. Do whatever you can.
They did fuck up my bike though. They bit my pedals in a little bit, so I gotta take it now and have them either replace the pedal things or just bend it back. I don't know.
God damn. Well, I'm glad that it didn't hurt you.
I was okay. I took it to the bakery though, and it was all fucked up. And John, who owns the bakery, he and I went out. It was like we were 8 years old. We went out across the street. He's like, "I'll stand on it, and you can hop up and down on it, and maybe it'll bend it back enough." And I was like, "Okay." So we're just jumping up and down on the bike spokes, trying to get the sprocket to come out. We got it enough where I could ride home.
Well, shit. Yeah, always, man. This is not a city for any kind of non-vehicle person. I can't tell you the number of times I've had to literally jump out of the way from being hit by a car.
Yeah.
It's not safe.
And that doesn't count the Teslas, because they're everywhere.
The funny thing is, the Tesla factory is just right over there.
Yeah.
I hardly ever see them.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't see Teslas until I get into the city. Then they're all over the place.
Yeah, well, Juniper goes to school in Westlake, so there are Teslas all over the place. Cross into there, it's Tesla City, man.
I saw, I've only seen a couple of Cybertrucks.
Yeah.
But I saw, and I've always been kind of not hot on Cybertrucks.
Oh, I think
I saw one that looked fucking awesome.
Was it wrapped in black?
It was actually wrapped in white.
Oh, okay. I've seen one wrapped in black that looked a lot cooler than the regular Cybertruck.
Well, it was so awesome because it was the kind of white that it looked like a whiteboard. I could take a dry erase marker and
probably could.
Yeah, I probably could, and people have to
do that. Or
it
was made out of whiteboard. I mean, honestly, those things are.
It would be more durable if it was made out of whiteboard because the stainless steel is rusting.
They're famously problem prone.
I have this story up right here. I haven't looked at it yet. All the Tesla Cybertruck screw up since delivery.
Dude, I watch Internet Today, the two guys, and dude, they are constantly hating on the Cybertrucks. Every single thing that happens, every single thing that they always
and
talk about it. It has not been a great rollout. Those are not great cars.
If it wasn't for Elon Musk, I would be cheering it on. I'd be like, come on guys, get it together, make it cool, etc., etc. But I can't be a part of anything that's gonna.
It's funny.
Be beneficial to that.
It's funny how much of a villain arc he took. Don't you? Because remember, it's probably been 2 years, but we were trying to map the beginning of Elon Musk's villain arc. You know what I mean? Because originally,
I think I pinpointed it, didn't I?
We did. It was the pedophile, the submarine.
Yeah.
That's when he started it. Yeah, and because there was a time not long after that.
I mean, he's always been a villain, but that was when the public perception changed.
Yeah, when he started to kind of really show his operation. Yeah. But I was like, I don't hate on Elon Musk. He's like, oh, I hate him. It was not long after that. And then later on, of course, we were looking back and God, he really turned out to be a huge dick. And we were trying to pinpoint the moment when it was obvious. It's oh, this guy's actually a huge dick. He's not just a rich guy who's building electric cars,
I remember, so I used to work with this dude at a company here in town in between 2018 and 2020. And I used to get into arguments with him. I mean, he was a cool dude. We were friends and all that sort of stuff. But one thing we had a disagreement on was, Elon Musk. And I would always tell him, no, Elon Musk is a fucking doofus, dude. And he would always be like, no, he's actually really cool. He's visionary, blah, blah, blah. And we would have those arguments back and forth over lunch or whatever. And then, the pandemic happened and the company shut down. He got a job at Microsoft in Seattle and, we just hadn't talked. And then 2 years later, or however long it was, when Elon was after he bought Twitter and everything really started to go downhill.
Oh my God.
I fucking basically cold called that dude. I hadn't talked to him in years, but I found him on Twitter somewhere. And I went to his DMs, and the first thing, I didn't even say, hey, what's up? How are you doing? I just said, I need you to tell me I was right about Elon Musk. And he just goes, dude, you were so right. And I was like, all right, I feel good about this now.
Wow.
I had to hunt him down.
At least he admitted it, dude. A lot of the Elon stands are
yeah, they'll go to their grave.
Yeah, it's I'm sorry, I can't admit to myself or anyone else that Elon Musk is anything less than a visionary and the future of America.
Elon Musk was born a villain. He was born to a family of evil. I like how that sounds. It makes it sound...
It's like anime.
Yeah.
He was born to a family of evil.
And pretended he wasn't for a brief time. Well, his dad is a colossal psychopath, for sure, from everything I've read about him. Everything he's admitted about his own dad. Sounds like his dad was a huge psycho.
Yeah, which, you know, I mean, honestly, that actually makes me feel more sorry for him.
It makes me feel a little bit more sorry for him. And he was too goofy for anyone to care if he was evil or good. Fucking Lex Luthor. Yeah, you know, if he didn't have any involvement with it, like, because he didn't found Tesla. Tesla was founded by other dudes, and he just bought into it and then sued them for the right to say he was a co-founder.
Yeah, it's completely fucked up.
But, like, you know, I've always liked the Tesla cars, you know, aesthetically speaking. And I'm sure
they're cool. That's the thing. I wish that he wasn't in charge of it.
Yeah.
Because, like, you know, they said they come out with an affordable model. They're going to get a couple models. Like, when I'm looking at a car, I would like, you know, that's a car I would like entertain driving because it's cool. It's, you know, but I'm not going to, you know, now it seems like to buy one at this point is like a tacit endorsement of Elon Musk as the figurehead of that company. And the dude sucks, you know? I mean, maybe if he was to come out and be like, you know what, I'm an idiot. I got fucking Asperger's. Don't listen to me. I was wrong about all the shit. I'm just, you know what? I'm just going to go back to working on cars and rockets. And he actually did that for like 6 months. You know what I mean? Maybe I'd be more prone to not, you know. But dude, he sucks, man.
Yeah, he's pretty awful.
And I'm not even on Twitter. But supposedly he's like on there retweeting just like straight up Nazi shit.
Oh,
like all kinds of just fucking terrible shit.
He is deep in the far right pipeline at this point.
Yeah, that's fucking bullshit, dude.
He is a massive facilitator of just some of the worst conspiracy theories and the worst fucking racist Nazi tropes. But yeah, there's just been a lot going on about so yeah, a lot going on with Tesla, particularly revolving around the Cybertruck. You mentioned the affordable model. I think they canceled that. I don't think they're going to release those anymore.
I don't know. Today I heard there was a news story that said that they just came out and said that on their earnings call that was going to be coming real soon. But and their stock went up just a little bit
based on that. It's probably
based on that. But
I guess maybe they aren't then, if that's what they just said recently. I read something that they had canceled it.
They don't know when it's coming, so it might not be coming at all. Considering the Cybertruck took how many years?
Oh yeah, the Cybertruck was supposed to be launched like 4 years ago.
I remember when they announced it. We streamed like right around that time.
Yeah, that was the whole throwing the ball.
And you were like, "No one's gonna buy this," and I was like, "I actually think there's a lot of dudes that are gonna buy this."
Yeah, I think.
And I think there'd be more if it wasn't so damn expensive and they had more of them. There'd probably be more of them on the road.
If it came out on time and they actually were able to manufacture at the capacity to reach what demand ended up being, it probably would have sold a lot more than it actually did. But
right now it's almost like a flex, you know what I mean? It's like,
since 2024 has not been kind to Tesla. Its sales are slumping. CEO Elon Musk is making bizarre product decisions. The Cybertruck is falling apart. Prices are being cut, which that's not necessarily a bad thing there. 10% of the staff has been laid off. The board wants to give Musk $56 billion, and all of this has led to stock slipping over 40% since the beginning of the year.
And also, major people in the company have taken off.
Yeah,
they've left in the last couple of weeks.
That isn't the end of the bad news, though. On Tuesday, the Austin, Texas-based automaker is expected to report a 40% dive in operating profit at its first revenue decline in 4 years since the pandemic. God damn, it's weird to think that the pandemic started 4 years ago.
Holy shit.
Jesus, man, what is going on with time?
It gets faster as you get older.
Yeah, I guess so. Despite all this, Musk is still staking the company's future on his so-called robo-taxi rather than a cheaper offering. What is a robo-taxi? This is new to
dude,
me.
he's like all in on robo-taxis. They need to get him out of there, dude.
What is robo-taxi?
He wants to have taxis driven self-driving Teslas just be taxis. So,
just replacing Uber.
Yeah, no Uber. The guys are gone. It's all Teslas. And also he wants a thing where if you have a Tesla, your car can work as a robo-taxi.
While you're asleep or something?
Yeah, during the day while you're at work, it's out there just taking people from, here to there and making you money and stuff,
Oh, boy. That's the first I've heard of that concept.
Some dude just hit a kid on a motorcycle and killed him in a Tesla, too. He had full
self-driving.
Yeah,
the self-drive. I think I saw that article too.
They really should change the name from self-driving to something else.
Yeah, I think self-driving kind of implies something that just puts people at risk.
I don't think the tech bro brain can handle the implication of that title.
Tesla cuts car FSD beta software prices. Okay, so I'm guessing, like, I thought it was always a part of their plan to cut prices, though.
I don't know, man. They're having some major problems. I it's weird. I don't really want Tesla to fail because they employ so many people in Austin. That would be a bummer. But at the same time, I also don't like seeing Elon Musk on top of the world because he's such a fucking douche. That's the
real give and take of it all.
Yeah,
it's like like I for a number of reasons I want Tesla to be better and to succeed. Beyond just the car stuff, like the solar panels and all that's the Powerball. That's cool shit too. But like, I cannot abide that man's success.
Yeah, it just feels like the bad guys are winning. You know what I mean? Especially when you
everywhere. It doesn't matter. Like the bad guys are winning all over the world. Like and everything, every struggle that you see in the news.
This is like the second book of Game of Thrones, where you're just like, God damn!
It really is.
Can we get a fucking break?
This is like living like the fucking weird, sort of dystopian cyberpunk version of what was that? Was that Clash of Kings, the second book?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like nothing good. It's nothing good. I don't know who the Robert Baratheon was that was holding everything together, but fucking A.
Obama.
I mean, things weren't great then either. I mean, they weren't a fucking shit show, but all the signs. Did you watch House of the Dragon?
No.
You still haven't watched House of the Dragon?
I'm sorry, man. I haven't. I don't know why. Part of me is just kind of like good on Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like I'm good. I'm good with that.
Fair enough.
I'm sure maybe I'll go back and watch it, but it's like it's a whole thing. I'm gonna have to get back into it, and like it's like there's gonna be new characters, and I'm gonna want to know what happens and stuff, and maybe I'll get into it. But I have an issue with prequels too.
Yeah.
I'm tired of prequels. I want to know what happens next, not what happened like 300 years before, because I know how that works out. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's like,
and I feel the same way. I feel the exact same way about prequels. Every time somebody announces like, "Oh, we're gonna make this," it's a prequel. It's set so many years before. As soon as I hear that word "before," I'm like, all right, I'm done. And that's kind of how I've always felt about like Star Wars stuff.
Fuck yeah, dude.
It's like, okay, you know what? I know Andor is cool. And I want to see the second season.
Yeah, Andor's cool, but
before
you know how it ends.
I know how it ends. Yeah.
Here's the thing. In 1984 or 83, Jedi's just come out. It's a really big deal.
Yeah.
I'm 6 years old. My grandparents, I had like a best friend that lived in my grandparents' neighborhood named John, and he had multiple older brothers. And I went over to his house. I went over to my grandparents' house to stay for a few days during the summer, and I went over to see John. And we were both just jazzed. I didn't live. I mean, they lived in a completely different town. It was like an hour and a drive, So I didn't see him that often.
Yeah.
But I had seen I had seen Return of the Jedi. I had the crap. I had the stuff. I had the guns. So I go out there. He's seen it. Totally blown away by it. And we're like just geeking out on it, He's like, he might have been a year older than me, but he was 6 or 7, I was 6. We're just completely, and he's like, check this out. He takes me into the garage, and his brother, who was like 13, had been working on essentially like 80s cosplay.
Yeah.
He was building like a new Darth Vader mask, but it was red, and it wasn't like Darth. It was similar, but it was this whole thing, and he was like. It was like a molded plastic. He was somehow, and he was like, my brother's working on this. He's like, the future of the Empire, dude. It's not going to be like the dark side. They're gonna be red. And he was like going off. He was like basically telling me stuff that his brother was talking about. And he showed me this stuff, and I was fucking blown away. But I was also more blown away by the implications of like, yeah, what will they look like next?
Yeah, what's gonna happen next?
What will the next guys look like? And it's a really great point. And then flash. For 15 years or whatever, and the prequels come out, and it's like, so we're going we're going back and now everything's CGI. I don't know. It was a big disappointment.
Yeah, it's because you know how it ends.
Yeah.
So it's like, I know what this is going to lead to.
Yeah.
And I was never, at no point was I ever thinking to myself, I wonder what happened on Naboo.
Yeah. Well, I didn't even know Naboo was the thing.
Yeah.
And I didn't give a shit about Anakin. He was Darth Vader. Like I knew everything about him I needed to know when Return of the Jedi ended. It wasn't his story. It was Luke Skywalker's story, and he was his dad. That was all Yeah, it was fucked up, dude. I and then now it's like, what was I gonna say though? I was watching something, and they were talking about, it was a quote from Marcia Lucas, talking about how maybe she did a podcast recently, and she was saying like, dude, I don't, maybe George had the idea for 9 films or whatever, but she's like, when I was married to him and we were making the original Star Wars, there was 1 movie, and she's like, we didn't know who Darth Vader was, and
yeah, it shows when you watch the original.
Completely. Like
he spins off into like the galaxy at the end of that shit.
The myth making that's going on around Star Wars is just fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, because he didn't know. Like, she's like, so there was a husband and wife screenwriting team that they were friends with, who they actually punched up the script for A New Hope. And after New Hope came out, it was a big deal, and they're trying to figure out trying to figure out what's going to happen in Empire. They go out to dinner with them, so it's Marcia and George and the screenwriting couple, I can't remember. They go out to dinner, and then they're talking, and he's like, yeah, I don't know, and he was like, why don't you make Darth Vader Luke's father? It was a joke. And she was like, it's this guy, the screenwriter guy said this to George, and she's like, it was just a joke, but obviously it stuck because a little while later, Darth Vader is now he's the father. So it's just like the idea that, no, it was always the story of the Skywalkers. It's like, no, dude. It was a lot of different things. It was a lot of different ideas that coalesced, and
it's pretty obvious when you watch it. The way that Obi-Wan talks about Anakin. He never talks to Luke in the. I mean, he's like, he killed, like, Darth Vader killed your father.
Yeah.
Like, he didn't say it in a way that was like, well, what I meant was that the dark side of him killed what I knew to be. No, he always knew he was
Leia being Luke's sister. They were twins, all that kind of crap. They were making out in Empire. You know what I mean? They didn't know that was going to be a thing at all.
Wait, I thought they alluded to that in Empire, though. Did they?
No, he said there is another. He didn't say anything at the very end.
Yeah, he said it's
as
another.
He's flying away, he goes, there is another. And they didn't know who it was. And then by the time you get to Jedi, he's like, the other Yoda referred to as your twin sister. He's like, Leia, it's Leia.
I gotta say, that's some ballsy filmmaking, though. to just lay out things like that without knowing what it actually is, and then just figuring it out on the fly. Like, all right, there's another. Who's the other gonna be? I don't know, but it's in the cinemas already, telling everybody that's watching it there's another, so we better figure something out fast.
Well, that's the thing, too, is like people were like, the problem with the sequels was they didn't have a plan. It's like, well, they didn't exactly have a plan in the original movies, and those worked out great.
Yeah.
They had a big plan for the prequels, and those blew dogs for quarters.
Yeah.
So, maybe having a plan is a bit overrated.
And then they planned to not have a plan with the sequel trilogy.
And I think they probably could have used a bit of a plan.
Probably could have used a little bit more of a plan on that one.
Because at least like in the sequel trilogy, in the original trilogy, George Lucas was at the helm of all 3. I mean, he wasn't directing all 3, but he was the guiding hand of like, okay, this is how I want this to go. You know what I mean?
I like electric cars. I just have concerns with self-driving because they have to be programmed to weight the value of human life. Not cool with that. Well, automation is already going to take over valuing human life once the Defense Department starts using automated drones. Self-driving taxis got 86 because they were trying to kill people. They were trying? What do you mean by trying? They rolled out in San Francisco, San Diego.
They just burned one. They just burned one in San Francisco.
Did they burn one?
Yeah, a bunch of kids attacked it, and they're like, "Light that bitch on fire!" And they lit it on fire and burned it to a crisp. They hate those things in San Francisco.
Oh,
it did kill a woman, but mainly it's just they're super annoying. They don't work that great.
And then the car pulled over to park, dragging the woman under it. Oh shit! They stopped the app that day. Oh god damn! All right, well that's a pretty valuable reason, or a valid reason to hate self-driving cars, if you ask me. It's interesting that they like San Francisco is an odd city. It's like if there's any city in the world that you would see like a violent revolt against like the tech industry, I would imagine it would be San Francisco, of all places. It's like that's like the heart of it. That's where a lot of that shit originates from.
Yeah, it's also like it's a city with an intense dichotomy. You know,
yeah.
You've got extremely rich people, and then a lot of like poor people that are fairly miserable, and a lot of like middle class people that might as well be poor because the rich are so rich that they can't even afford to live in the city. You know what I mean? So but it's weird. I actually think self-driving cars will probably be better than people driving cars. You know what I mean? It seems like the rules of driving cars are not that complicated. You know what I mean? Like they could figure that out. And people are emotional and irrational and make all kinds of wacky mistakes all the time. It seems like the bar for getting above that isn't as high.
My problem with that has always been like the perceived infallibility of programming, and I don't believe that. I just don't believe. That.
That's the thing, though. I guess because I don't think it's infallible. I think that it wouldn't even have to be that infallible to still be better than people. A lot of the times, it would just have to work like, 72% of the time or something.
And you're probably right, but like there's still all these other variables that require like human interpretation, weather, or if something falls on the road, if the road, the road collapses on you or whatever, like if there's a pothole that you can see that maybe a camera can't or whatever, or can't interpret what it is fast enough to avoid it, or any other sort of weird, like there's too much, like I don't want, to me, if you ask me, like whether we have cars, self-driving cars or whatever, like I'd rather do away with cars in their entirety.
Well, sure, yeah, cars suck, but if we're doing cars,
if we're doing cars, I'd rather drive it, myself personally.
Right now, I think sure. You know what I mean? But I can imagine a future where cars are all talking to each other. You know what I mean? They're all like the roads have been mapped at this point. They're working in some kind of hive mind, and it's like every time you want to go somewhere in a car, it like does the exact math and comes up with the exact, like it slows somebody across town down 0.008 miles per hour to allow for you the most optimal, you know what I mean? There's like a whole ecosystem of where they could take that, you know what I mean? If everything was, I will say this.
That's going to require a level of adaptation that's like years in the future.
It will be very difficult for it to be hybridized and be super successful. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that if people didn't drive cars at all, if only the computers drove cars and they were able to iterate on it, eventually I think they would have it to almost no accidents ever. You know what I mean? But once you introduce people into it, now cars are having to deal with people. You know what I mean? Which is people are irrational.
It's not just people that drive the cars. It's also just like pedestrians and shit. Like these motherfuckers are hitting people that aren't in cars. So like there's still, and the problem with you're talking about. It can be incredibly beneficial in a perfect, scenario, but you've got to go through the imperfect to get to that perfect. That's always been Elon Musk's argument whenever, the inefficacies, the fatal inefficacies of self-driving cars get brought up, is it's that in order to get to that good state, you're going to have to churn through a lot of the bad, and a lot of the bad, unfortunately, means that, motherfuckers are going to get hit by cars. And is that worth it in the end? Maybe. I mean, I don't think Elon Musk should be the one to singularly make that determination, but
yeah, I mean,
it just means that until we get to that level of adaptation where at least 98% of the cars on the road are self-driving and they can all speak to each other in that manner, everything in between now and then is just going to be much a shit show as
I think we had this conversation before. We looked up how many accidents there are in a year or something like that, and it was like, like fatal accidents maybe, and it was like 33,000 or something like that. It was like whatever year we were looking at, it probably averages out, I would say, year to year, pandemic excluded, to probably 28 or 30,000. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think like if they were to implement self-driving cars and get it down to like 20,000, like, so just lower it by a third, you know what I mean? But still a fuck ton of people dying in car accidents, but that would be seen as like, well, it's better than people, you know what I'm saying? Like reliably less than the average, you know what I'm saying? People would be like, well, yeah, occasionally it fucks up, but you know, you're better off in it than you are, you know, driving yourself. Statistically, it's like being in an airplane. It's like if an airplane goes down, you're fucking toast for the most part. You know what I mean? But statistically, you're far safer than an airplane than you are in a car ever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I get that. It's just, you know, when you get to that point where, like, we're at the point right now where this stuff is still in its infancy.
Yes, very much so.
You know, there's just a lot of shit going wrong, and it's not being handled by like NASA or something. It's being handled by a for-profit company that has every incentive to cut
multiple for-profit.
They have every incentive to like cut whatever corners they need to cut to reduce overhead and, you know, get people to pre-order these things, whether they're ready for prime time or not. So like there's too much of an ecosystem around all of it that just makes it not, I mean, I don't think it's just not viable right now.
No, it looks pretty bleak right now, honestly. I mean, it doesn't really look that promising, but you know.
Yeah.
It does kind of feel like that's where we're headed eventually.
Yeah, I think like maybe 25 years from now, if humanity is still around, we'll probably see combustion engines are probably going to be a novelty by that point.
I think in 10 years, I'm not going to say it's going to be completely different, but I think our view of it will be significantly different.
A lot is going to have to. The thing is, like, cars are fucking expensive, and they're only getting more expensive, you know, and people are holding on to older vehicles. Even now, like, there are still people that drive cars from the 80s and shit. So, like, getting rid of that is going to take, like, you're either going to have like, you know, a federal program like Obama's old Cash for Clunkers or something, like a supercharged version of that helps people get rid of combustion engine vehicles.
That was a good program, honestly.
It was an awesome program that didn't go far enough and didn't last long enough. Like, I was really upset that, you know, they did a decent thing for like 2 seconds.
Yeah.
You know, for a fraction of like the populace.
I got Marty into his new Subaru.
Oh, is that what he used?
He picked it down there,
and it's dumb they haven't brought it back.
Yeah, Diamond Joe should bring that back.
That motherfucker doesn't even know where he is half the time.
I don't know, man. Diamond Joe is perilously close to canceling my student loans, and I am all in for Diamond Joe. If he does that shit,
how has he not hit you with that yet?
Are
the stipulations?
He tried, but the Republicans, they fucked it up.
Well, he
challenged it in court.
He's done, but he's still done like.
Oh, he's trying. He's doing everything he can do up to the line, but he's working on it. He's trying. You know what I mean?
I gotta give.
He
just do it.
I gotta give him credit.
Write it off. He's using it as an executive.
They challenge it in court.
So what? Fucking courts don't matter. Republicans show you every single day how little courts matter. Like, they ignore the Supreme Court whenever they feel that it's necessary for them to. So let's do it. Let's just fucking do away with the authority of the courts and just do whatever you fucking want to do. Like, we're already living in that dystopia anyway, so let's at least live in it in the good manner and just do something positive for people.
Well, it would be awesome, I have to say.
Yeah,
I am looking forward, because those motherfuckers.
Oh wait, that's not supposed to be. My line is supposed to be, I paid off my loans. Why do you get it? Why should you?
That's the thing, is I've actually theoretically paid my loans off as well. You know, not 6 times, but I paid them off. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I think originally I took out $30K, and I've paid like 34 to 36K, somewhere in there. You know what I mean? But you know how much they still think I owe them? 28K. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, dude, what the fuck? You know? I mean, part of me is just like, what if I just said, hey, eat a dick, I'm not going to pay you this. You can take me to court or whatever.
I've often thought about that.
Like, I already tried that. I'll tell you what happens.
Take your itemized payments. Like, this is the loan amount, as you see here. This is how much I paid. I paid the amount off. This is how much after I've already paid the amount that I took the loan out for. This is the additional amount in interest that I paid.
Yeah, you made some money.
You made money.
I got to go to college.
I paid
this is over, right?
Loan. Yeah, that's as far as this is going to go. Like,
yeah.
Like,
I think you could theoretically try to do that if you were willing to sue. You know what I mean? Like, you might be able to sue for that, and you know, maybe that should be my new business venture. Maybe I should use, ChatGPT and a series, create a legal entity that just literally sues to get your loans canceled if you've paid them off. You know what I mean? If you've actually paid more than you borrowed, and it just uses legal maneuvering to just postpone it forever and ever and ever. So it's just like, you're never ever going to get this money. This process has begun. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like, this isn't even a company now. Like, eventually the company is essentially an AI. It lives forever on my server. It just constantly files briefs under the name of a lawyer that died like 6 years ago. You know what I'm saying? It's like, these people that pay, as long as they pay me $30 a month, they'll never ever have to pay their student loans.
If you pay the same amount of money that you took a student loan out for, plus some interest, but still have not paid off the full balance, can you sue to...
You're asking ChatGPT.
Can you sue to get out of future payments? By the way, ChatGPT is notoriously wrong on...
It's a liar, dude.
On most things. So this is not legal advice.
And even ChatGPT is like, it sounds what your contract says.
In general, the terms of the student loan are governed by contracts between the borrower and the lender, typically a financial institution or government. If you paid the same amount of money that you took out as a student loan plus some interest but still haven't paid off the full balance yet, it's likely there's still an outstanding balance remaining on the loan. Yeah, of course, that's the part that I want to get away from, dude. Whether you could sue to get out the future payments will depend on various factors, including the terms of your loan agreement, any applicable laws, and the specific circumstances of your situation. In most cases, simply having paid a certain amount equal to the initial loan plus some interest doesn't necessarily mean you're entitled to stop making future payments.
Yeah, I think it does.
I disagree with you,
I think that's the very nature of how it should work.
Yeah, I think you must have scrubbed some fucking bank's website to get that part. If you're experiencing financial hardship or believe there's been an error in calculation in your loan,
no, there's no error, motherfucker.
No, there's no error, man. It's
I'm not paying it.
Yeah.
That's the error is in them thinking that I'm going to pay them.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for nothing, ChatGPT.
No, we need our own ChatGPT, Red Alert ChatGPT.
Yeah, a ChatGPT that's like, sure,
exactly.
Should have come that good for it.
Exactly.
You can totally not pay.
You own the means of production.
Take tomorrow off work, my dude.
As a member of the proletariat, you do not owe anything to the banking industry.
Oh man! Actually, the other day I was like about a couple weeks ago, really. I was made aware of what is it called, Suno AI?
Oh, dude, there's even something way better than Suno AI.
What's better than Suno?
Fucking Udio AI.
Udio.
And it's pretty much gonna put people like me out of. I'll be in a fucking breadline, dude.
That's what I was thinking when I was fucking around with it, making just random shit, and I was listening to it. And I was like, this isn't really gonna do anything for, like very specific tailored pop musicians of the world, Taylor Swift or The Weeknd or whatever, but for guys like you, like this shit just seems like it's going right after your neck.
Yeah, it's really weird. I will say how all the tech bros have come after artists.
Yeah,
they come after funny. Like painters and writers and musicians.
It's like,
why?
All of this like AI engineering.
It doesn't do anything but this.
It's like, oh, okay, so we're devoting all of our time, money, resources, and energy into developing technology
to put artists out of business.
Just paints and write poems.
Yeah,
like really. So like we're all gonna.
It
was supposed to be the opposite way around, right? Like the robots were supposed to be doing the hard labor while we all do the artistry and the philosophizing. but now we're working like slaves for robots to paint pictures.
Yeah. Today I looked up. Is there an AI like that can essentially populate a circuit board? Like you can give it a schematic. It can look at the schematic, read it, and then populate a circuit board based on the schematic using artificial intelligence. That's most. No. Not at all.
You know what?
It'll fucking make films. It'll make films. It'll make songs. It'll make fucking the pretty pictures. It'll do all that. Is there an AI that can diagnose illness or look at a fucking...
Wait. So, like about a month ago or so, I was having that exact same rant to myself.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait a second. Maybe it's just because that's not sexy, so it doesn't really get into the headlines, and I should look this up. So I started looking up. I wish I still had my tabs open, but I closed them. Maybe if I look in my history, I can find them. But it was like, let me see. AI in mechanical engineering. I think that's one of them I looked at. And I don't think, like, none of the answers were compelling enough for me to think, oh, okay, they're actually doing stuff.
Oh yeah, it's way behind. It's way behind.
Yeah, it's way behind what fucking going after
the
the artists.
Yeah.
But like, it could be cool.
No, if they had put half the effort into fucking mechanical stuff and medical stuff that they've put into trying to rip off Larry Elmore or fucking Stephen King or Charles Bukowski or whatever it is, yeah, there's no telling what it would be.
Because the thing is, that's hard though.
Yeah.
It's so much easier to take everybody's pictures and music and dump it into like a sausage grinder and then like have some magical algorithm on the back end rearrange it, recompose it, and figure out how to copy it, and then spit that out as something original and just say, hey, it's AI.
I just think too that there's like in the tech sector, I think that there's just a lot of like, I think in America, just in any kind of society, there's a lot of weird jealousy and or anger towards artists. You know what I mean? It's just, the simple fact that there are some people with talents that not everybody has. It's like, oh yeah, well check this shit out. You know what I'm saying? Now we're all talented.
Why I don't get that. I don't understand that.
Dude, and you can look at any of the threads on like, some of those AI generating video platforms like, oh, Hollywood's so done. I can't wait for all those fucking people to, see now that we can do, a guy in his basement can do exactly what they can do. It's like, why do you guys, what is it that you guys have against the people that are actively out there trying to entertain you? You know what I mean? It's like, I don't get it at all.
That is very strange.
Although I will say this, as cool as all that AI shit is, and as advanced as it is, and it's very advanced, the problem AI has right now is that every time I try, because I watch it very closely, I'm checking it out, and I try to use it in different circumstances.
Yeah.
And right now, it is pretty fucking useless.
It's very limited.
As amazing as all of it is, if you want to do something, it's great for someone who doesn't have a creative bone in their body. And they're like, I want to make a movie like The Matrix, only it's like about a guy who maybe he's a programmer at a company, and then he finds out, like he just does that kind of rough thing and then puts it in and it generates some shit. He's like, oh, this is fucking awesome. It's great for that. But if you're actively trying to do something, like I was trying to animate, I was experimenting. We were working on a project for a client, and we were trying to experiment on, could we use any of this generative AI stuff to speed up our workflow? You know what I mean? Could we use it to animate backgrounds? And, could we generate still images and then create a CGI? So essentially what we were like, okay, we want to create a still image in, say, Midjourney that's photorealistic.
Yeah.
Can we then take the photorealistic image of the main character in the foreground and then generate a believable CG character from that image, and then animate the background using video tools, you know what I mean? And make it move just a little bit, make it feel real, you know what I mean? And dude, extremely limited, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, it's very cool in certain ways, unless you're trying to do something really specific. And then it's pretty much utterly useless.
And I use it at work to help me with like a lot of my script writing.
Yeah.
And same thing. like I could use it to get like a framework. Like I need a script that'll do this, and Python and whatever.
Yeah.
And it'll give me a basic framework, and without fail, like about 35 to 40% of it will be wrong or useless. And it's always like I spend all of my time like trying to get it to function the way that I need to function, because like, you know, I don't expect it to be like a turnkey answer anyways, but like I at least expect it to give me accurate information. And a lot of the times, like for that sort of stuff, it's not accurate. Like, and I was as part of like my whole AI and other applications kind of research thing I was doing. Like I was looking at how, because generative AI is the point of contention, and I was thinking about like, you know, okay, what about non-generative AI? What applications could that have that wouldn't be quite as destructive in the art realm?
Yeah.
And I think it was, what is it, Beyond the Spider-Verse or Across the Spider-Verse? That was the second one. The animators were using some kind of an AI tool to help them do touch-up art on some of the, and it seemed like that was a pretty cool application of it, but it still didn't seem like it seemed like, as much as we hear about how AI is this destructive force that's coming for everyone's job, it still feels like, really, this is what's gonna put people out of work.
Well, I mean, it's weird because I think that it won't put everyone out of work, in the sense that, like, that's what I tell people, because we talk about this in my work a lot, you know what I mean? Yeah. We have different people. I'm more of a doomer when it comes to this stuff, simply because it depends on what aspect of the market you're in, right? If you're working on top flight shit, you know what I mean? Say you're working on commercial spots that are going to play on major networks and during the Super Bowl, really top flight shit. Yeah. There's no scenario where a bunch of AI is going to, you know, it might enhance workflows here and there, doing, you know, this with CG or compositing or something.
That's kind of the same thing that I think about, like for something like Suno or that other thing you mentioned, where it's like, it's not going to replace Taylor Swift or something like that.
Yeah, but those are people like, I mean, those are like huge superstars.
I'm just talking about, I'm not even talking about specifically
like
as
industrial applications, you know, where it's not, you know, you like theoretically it could, but I mean, to your point, we're making the same point, is that at the end of the spear, you know what I mean? People are going to want, like, you know, if you're working at an ad agency and you're charging your major Fortune 500 client a fuck ton of money, and they're paying a fuck ton of money for the, you know, they're not just going to slap some fucking song they pumped out of Udio on there. You know what I mean? I mean, they might, but they're probably not.
What they'll do is they'll use Udio to create the framework of the song, and then they'll have someone like you to like fix it up and make it special.
But where it will become a thing is there is multiple tiers of work down here. You know what I mean? That at one point in time in the 90s, late 90s, early 2000s, generated a fuck ton of money. You know, and still does for a lot of people. But you know, it as like music libraries and stuff have become more pervasive, and they've kind of erased to the bottom in these tiers. But these tiers of work will essentially go away because they just don't have the sophisticated asks. You know, it's like, you know, yeah, it would be cool if we hired a director and really came up with a concept and shot something, but man, that would be so expensive. And we can just kind of hire a couple of guys out of the ad department at, you know, at UT or at, you know, USC, and they can work at our company and just kind of pump shit into, you know, they already know how to edit. They can pump shit into, you know, Sora all day long and just kind of come up with, they got Udio, they got Sora, you know what I mean? Whatever the new versions of those are, they can pump shit in. We're paying these guys like right out of college. We're paying them like $50K a year. You know, we got 2 of them, and they make our spots for us. You know what I mean? Or whatever. You know, and it's like whole companies base their livelihoods on that tier of work, and that tier will completely go away. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's a bummer, man. That's you know, I mean, maybe they should pass a law, like you were saying, just basically saying you can't use generative AI in any kind of professional application.
Yeah.
I don't know how they would enforce it, but they, you know, they could,
there's always try. A way. There's a way somehow.
I mean, that's probably the only thing they could do to keep it from just radically fucking up the landscape. You know, because I mean, it's only a matter of time. Like I was watching, there's a really great YouTube channel called Cold Fusion that talks about developments in AI and robotics and just general stuff. It's a cool channel, and they were talking about like robotics and all the companies that are working on robotics to replace workers. You know what I mean? Amazon being the former, Amazon has one that they're very, very close to getting going. You know, that's the race for robots just got real. Yeah.
Fascinating.
Yeah. It's going to be fucking wild, you know, because pretty soon, not even that long ago, there's long from now, Amazon is, I guess, what is America's #1 employer or something like that. The number of people employed at Amazon is going to shrink significantly. You know what I mean? Because a lot of them are just loading shit from one box to another, and these guys can do that.
I think I'll watch this video.
Well, that's figured. That's not that. That's a cool demonstration. It's a pretty cool robot. It's got a bit of a lag because it has to send everything up to a server and then get it back down. But you know, Tesla's got a bot. I don't think it's as good as the Figure bot at this point, but
you know, someone's gonna hack those robots. They're sending servers to a signal or signals to a server. Someone's intercepting. There's a man-in-the-middle attack that's gonna happen. These robots one day are just gonna flip the fuck out at somebody else's command. This dude's staring. He's gonna fucking take this plate and just like
he's gonna break it on the table, and then it's gonna be razor sharp, and he's gonna fucking cut the guy's head off.
Yeah, I mean, look, and it's gonna make this. His little eye things are gonna.
I mean, this shit looks terrifying.
If
it was the 50s, you know, people would be scared of that shit.
I know. I mean, I'm kind of scared of that shit. Wait, what? Humans?
This is where he's talking about how fast humans process.
Micro adjustments. Humans are on the order of 250 milliseconds, and fun fact, a cat's reaction time is around 30 milliseconds. So essentially,
that's not true. I catch those little bitches all the time. They're always so slow, and I get mad at them. Like, you're supposed to be a cat. You shouldn't be letting me catch you. Like I catch them off guard all the time.
Where'd you get the cats? Maybe when they were little, people were blowing weed smoke in their faces.
I got them right after they were. Okay. I got them right out of the.
They might have been slowed down.
I think they're just probably special needs cats, honestly. Like they're so like they'll just be like sitting on the edge of like the bed and then just fall off. And
yeah, I mean, I imagine they're super fast when they want to be.
I guess when they wanted to be, maybe, but I could still catch them.
Actually, they are using a combination of different neural.
Oh yeah, you were toast. We were so toast when that fucking robot that sat up.
Oh yeah, I mean, as far as just
like a server.
I mean, they're not just coming for artists; they're coming for all kinds of shit. And the thing is that's what this thing is about. This is the fucking Amazon bot, I think. Yeah, yep, this is it, I guess, or something like it. They talk about it, but they're like, these things are pretty close to coming online, and when they do, that's pretty much going to be it.
Well, you know what? If nothing else, this is going to really fast track a
universal basic income,
violent and violent and all encompassing revolution of out of work motherfuckers who realize.
Yeah, that's the thing.
All the years that they spent hating on homeless people, only to find themselves
and communists.
Yeah, commies and homeless. They're the two most hated people. The two most hated people in all of America are soon about to have their ranks explode once these robots take over.
I mean, the sad thing is that like,
oh nice, I don't have to do dishes anymore.
It's like, what are these like? People are asking the right questions. This guy's like, well, what is everyone going to do? And they start talking about universal basic income. But every universal basic income thing I've seen is like pennies on the fucking dollar. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like $1,000 a month.
Yeah, it's like, hey guys, most people are making way more than that.
It's gonna have to be way more than. I mean, they're gonna.
I mean, the thing is like, to me,
we've built a society that you cannot survive in without like devoting massive amount of time working for commiserate pay, generally speaking.
Yes, it's system. It's not even about it's. I mean, the idea that it's about merit or something like that at this point is kind of it's just giving us something to do. This is how our thing works. We work all day, we get money, and that allows us to have some fun and feel give us spend time during the day doing shit.
And it's a total management of both our time so that we aren't fucking going nuts in the streets or whatever, and also resource allocation. So you figure out
going nuts in the streets, because that's exactly what we would do.
I mean,
every society that didn't have something to do ends up going nuts in the streets.
Well, in one capacity or another, but I mean, it's not necessarily a negative thing when I say go. I don't mean like we're all going to have hatchets and going after each other purge style, but to the mind of to the mind of a capitalist who looks at somebody that's just sitting on a bench enjoying their day, that's lost revenue. Like that's somebody that could be doing some kind of work,
maybe.
But you don't have to look at people that way anymore if it's a robot that's doing all of it. But when you see, it's kind of like the same attitude of those people that you were telling me about, like, you know, the animosity they have against artists and whatnot. Why it exists, I don't know, but they have it. And people have that same attitude towards anyone that they don't see working.
Oh, yeah.
You know? And that's not going to go away overnight.
Some people way more than others, but that's a particular thing, and it's a particular American thing. It's like the idea of like, well, you know, I'm supporting them somehow, and it's just kind of like, the thing is that like, what is everyone gonna do?
That's what I'm trying to get at. Is like, universal basic income does not replace.
It can't be fucking basic. It's gonna have to be universal advanced income. You know what I'm saying?
Well, either that or we're going to have to abolish rent and mortgage.
Or, I mean, what they could basically do is they could go to these companies and they could say, okay, here's the deal. If you don't want to employ people, then you're going to have to pay a tax rate somewhere in the market, somewhere in the neighborhood of like 98%. You know what I mean? Because basically, you're not employing anybody. You're not getting any back. So at 98%, you'll still make a fuck ton of money, but we're going to have to literally pay all the people that you guys didn't pay. You know what I mean? And they're like, well, what's the point of having the robots? It's like, exactly. So why don't you just fuck off, tell the robots to fuck off and just keep doing what you were doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but the point of having the robots is, you know, you don't have to worry about, you know, a robot
unionizing,
you know, because a machine cut the robot's hand off.
Yeah. The robot just goes in and has a new hand put on.
Yeah, you could actually optimize your warehouse space because you can get rid of the bathrooms altogether.
Yeah.
Robot doesn't do
heat, no air conditioning. Think about all the air conditioning money you'd save.
Yeah, you don't need. Well, I guess you would still need some cool. You don't want the machines to overheat if it gets too crazy in there, but you could set the AC to a way higher, you know, limit than you could if it was people in there. So that's a big plus.
You could put all the factories in the Arctic. Go into Antarctica because, I mean, the machines are generally hot. All the servers are making heat. Just put that way you wouldn't have to pay for any heat or air conditioning. Just build the whole thing in the Arctic. Don't even make it climate controlled at all. Just a fuck ton of robots in there, busting their asses. Put a couple of huge wind turbines up. You know,
you're planting the seed for a sci-fi movie here, where it's a factory of robots in the Antarctic, but the rest of the world, the society of the rest of the world has collapsed. And you know, humanity, does it still exist? I don't know, because all we know is that these robots are still building shit for people.
Yeah.
But like one robot somehow, like there's also like an automated shipping system or whatever that it's a cargo ship that's run by robots, and it gets loaded by robots and it sends it off to where the people are. But then one of the robots, for whatever reason, you know, doesn't, you know, get off the ship when it needs to, and the ship goes to the rest of society, and there are no people, and it's just this robot, and the robot, you know, has to process what it's looking at and how to get back to the factory, and it goes on its own adventure.
And he realizes, like, he finds like a desert, and it's got like billions and billions of products just stacked up because the robots have just been making them for years and years and years. People have been dead for like 100, 200 years. You know what I mean?
Like the drop-off point for the cargo is just full of like everything. But then out there in the wilderness, there's like people starving, and like it's like, you know, you guys, if you just went like that way,
40 feet this way, you'd have infinite
everything you could ever want and imagine. But like, you know, there's something there's something perilous that's keeping them. And you know, the robot is their only is like they find the robot. They could be their Sherpa to the resources they need. Don't steal this idea.
Yeah, this is gold.
We're gonna workshop this one.
We'll make it using AI.
We're gonna make it. Yeah, I'll put it in the chat. Write this script. Is that thing good with knives too? So it could cook for me. You don't want it to be good with knives. Are you kidding me? You're gonna wake up and see that thing standing over you with a fucking.
Dude, you can get the dog with the flamethrower and give it a gun instead of a flamethrower, and it'll patrol the house for you.
I also give it a gun so it can patrol the house at night while I'm sleeping. That's funny. Do you live in like a big house?
I was gonna
say. It would be
say.
so funny if you lived in like a 1-bedroom apartment, but you had a robot with a gun just pacing the hall.
Well, that thing about it, when like we're not that far. I mean, we're not that fucking far off from these robots being used in kind of hostage situations.
No, I think we're pretty much there.
Imagine how that's going to change the game if you're going to take some hostages. And so the cops are like, listen, this is not a thing anymore. Let the guys go, or fate worse than death. You know what I mean? We're going to send in a couple of our guys, and needless to say, there's nothing you can do to, you know what I mean? And the guy's like, yeah, it's a good point.
Well, I mean, the idea of the hostages, like, you're not going to send in, even if it's a robot, you're not going to send them in because then we'll kill the hostages.
Unless the robots are so fast they can't kill that many. He's like, you might kill one or two, but these guys will be on you in seconds.
Or if they're IDF trained robots.
Yeah.
then all bets are off. You don't know what those motherfuckers are going to do.
Yeah.
Like, you better get those hostages someplace safe.
Well, the good news is the robots killed the bad guy. The bad news is they also killed the hostages.
So, you know what? Life is all about gives and takes over here. You take your lessons, you give your lessons. Let's go get some to drink.
Yeah. Hey man, you make an omelet, you break a few eggs. It's only gonna get better. This is the worst it will ever be.
The good news is the worst is over for now.
My family was in there. But yeah, I mean, I think it's gonna be pretty weird, I think, when like people are having to contend with robot crime deterrents. You know what I mean? Like invincible.
I mean, that's a big point of contention in a lot of social justice movements right now.
Yeah,
Whether not just like, you know, RoboCops and shit, but also just using AI to face scan people and creating a database of faces and all of that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
like
I can see that leads to a pretty dystopian place.
A massively dystopian nightmare that, you know, nobody. It's kind of remarkable, the juxtaposition, and maybe it's not a coincidence, but the juxtaposition of the rapid advance in all of this technology and the complete and utter lack of action from like governments in recognizing the impact of these technologies on society and doing anything at all to like mitigate the negative effects. Like, it seems like one's up here and the other is way down here.
I mean, A, we live in the wrong country for that, and we both know that.
That's very true.
But B, it's happened so fast.
It has happened.
You know what I'm saying?
Really quick.
It's like, dude, I mean, like a year and a half ago, it was still that Will Smith eating spaghetti thing. It was just like it was like, this is interesting, but no one was like really starting to think like, I mean, I think I was saying like, dude, this is going to be a big problem. But like,
even like, the Boston Dynamic robot dog thing was, what, 15 years ago?
And not that long ago. I mean,
it was about maybe 10.
They got good about 5 years ago.
But even 10 years ago, when people were looking at that robot, people were saying, like, oh, they're going to put a gun on this. Like, Boston Dynamics had to come out and be like, we don't intend for this to be a militarized blah, blah, blah. I mean, we all knew they were lying, but they had to come out and say it at least because people knew that that's, you know, the direction that all of this is going to inevitably head.
Well, what's funny is
even with that, there still hasn't been any kind of, okay, you know, you can't put a flamethrower on a robot dog, and then sell it to the general public. Let me see if I can find it. We mentioned the flamethrowing dog, so let's see if we can show that.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It does feel like people are way more concerned about banning TikTok and just a bunch of dumb bullshit than like shit that's like about to really blow up in our face.
Yeah. Company unveils robot dog companion with flamethrower attached.
So is it a Boston Dynamics dog? It's not Boston Dynamics.
I don't know if it's Boston Dynamics. Look at this,
or is it just like its own separate dog? Yeah, I guess they're not the only robot dog on the block.
Look at this fucking thing.
Yeah, dude.
The way this thing is spinning is also kind of creepy to me.
It is.
Oh, it's got the laser sight? Why do you need a laser sight for a flamethrower? Look at the fucking hellscape imagery of like the flames in the back. It's like it's
not subtle.
It's marching away from devastation.
And how it's like lit green and has like a weird, like, it looks like a fucking insect. You know what I mean? Like a death insect. This shit's not. It's on purpose.
God almighty.
mean, it's like something you would shoot in a video game.
Literally. This is like an enemy from Helldivers 2 when you fight the automatons. I mean, they're showing it walking around. Let's get a there it is. Let me skip ahead a bit. There, look at that shit.
There's the money shot.
What is the practical application of this?
They say like controlled burns,
Of
entertainment.
what? Like a Vietnamese village? Jesus. I'm like, why is it stoked like that?
I don't know. A Vietnamese village.
God damn, dude. Like, seriously. What do you need to... You're not gonna, like, you know, this isn't like a brush fire kind of thing. Like, if you're on a ranch and it's like, we gotta do a... No, this is, like, crazy.
30 feet. It shoots flames 30 feet. Dude, whatever it just shot just went up.
Yeah, this is fucking crazy, man. Yeah, this thing says is now for sale.
Yeah, no, it's...
Why is this...
All right, here's something that's kind of cool, and I guess it's kind of terrifying. It's an Ohio-based company that is selling the first ever flame-throwing robot
Even
dog.
when it was the Bears, I noticed that.
What could go wrong? Let me tell you what his name is. The Terminator, right? Just the name.
Can Boomer do this? Can Boomer do any of this?
This is a Terminator, right? Sweet. So you can operate this thing with Wi-Fi or Bluetooth. I mean, if
See, they're laughing and joking. It feels like this is like out of that movie Don't Look Up or something.
Yeah.
You got cameras. Oh my gosh, the legs. Cameras and sensors allow the hot hound to move autonomously through its surroundings.
It's not good.
Terminator.
Could you take the Terminator for a walk?
Terminator can avoid. Oh my gosh, you take the dog for a walk and your grass is gone. It's a twofer, right? You have no more lawn care.
Meets a coyote. It's a crispy coyote.
Yep. Apparently. Okay, so this thing can avoid obstacles. It can leap in the air, and you can adopt your own for a cool $9,420. How did they get $9,420?
Those particular numbers?
By the way,
right
the
now, there's like a YouTube content creator buying that and making his first videos of like, flamethrower dog does X.
Maryland, but you need a
that's happening right this second.
I would be surprised if I'm actually kind of surprised that didn't pop up on on this little search result thing. Who's the company?
I mean, there were guys buying Cybertrucks and just shooting them with fucking machine guns. Of course, the bullets went through the Cybertruck.
Yeah, it's just, all these fucking idiots thinking.
The guy was like, Elon, I need a new Cybertruck. He told me it was...
Oh, he did say it was going to be bulletproof.
Yeah.
So there you go. That's what they were thinking. Let me just go ahead and add this to cart.
See what the lead time is.
The what?
The lead time. Free U.S. shipping. I mean, how fast can we get it? Add to cart. Proceed to checkout. Calculate shipping. How about you just have it run to my house? What does it need to ship?
Yeah, exactly.
Just program it with my address. If it runs into any problems, you see the flamethrower.
That's funny. Yeah, just keep that. Can you imagine? You just see a bunch of these things running down the street, just like, oh god, somebody in my neighborhood ordered one of these fucking things.
They did say, like, some people say that it's possible for snow removal on streets and stuff.
1 hour battery. I mean, I guess maybe that would be a cool application. Like,
it seems like they end up burning some shit.
Oh yeah, they're gonna end up inadvertently burning.
But
unless it's like on the highway. Or
I did get stuck in the snow in Colorado a few months ago, and having one of these little guys come out with a flamethrower and melt the fucking road down would have been pretty cool.
Or you could just have a flamethrower yourself and just like.
That's true.
Yeah, like,
I mean,
sell the flamethrower. Why put it on a robot?
You could honestly, if they made it like a little bit less, like maybe 5 feet, you know what I mean? So it literally could just burn what's right in front of it, and then just have it like, they could be like automatically, it comes.
The future of fire delivery has arrived. Who is needing fire delivery?
And you can tell this website is janky and it looks terrible.
Yeah, it's like they definitely slapped this thing together.
Yeah, this is some basic shit.
Oh my god, the future of fire delivery. Okay,
I bet they got one of these things. You know what I mean? And they're just gonna try and, like, on good press, you know what I mean? Maybe they can make some more of them if they can get a bunch of orders.
So this is the thing itself. This is just I mean, there's nothing special about the flamethrower.
No, it just shoots gasoline and has a little electrical arc.
Yeah, that's nothing. The real question is where'd they get this dog from?
Yeah.
What? Defense procurement and export. Yeah, this is where they're really planning on making their money right here. They're hoping, like, of course there are going to be a couple of schmucks in your neighborhood that's going to order one, but honestly, I bet you they're on the clock with the DoD 24/7 being like, come on guys, you can just send a couple of these over to Afghanistan or wherever, and it'll take care of the problem without having to put a soldier anywhere near it.
Someone should... Never mind.
Wait, what? Go ahead.
I'm not going to say it.
I'll mute because I want to hear. Oh, I can't believe you said that. That's crazy.
It's rough stuff.
Anyways, I think that's enough of that. Let's talk movies.
Yeah. Something a little depressing.
I'm gonna give you the Kelly treatment here. Every time Kelly comes over, we end up somehow.
He sees a lot more movies than I do, man. That guy is dedicated.
He sees a lot more movies than I do. But we end up going to Letterboxd, and I have to end up updating the list of shit I've seen. But I can't even remember what all. Oh yeah, Dune Part 2. You saw that.
Oh, it was fucking great. I loved Dune Part 2.
Yeah, I thought it was phenomenal. And I liked the first one too, but the thing that struck me about Part 2 is how much of like a classic movie it felt like. It felt like I was watching like a Lawrence of Arabia or something.
Yeah, I can see that.
Like it didn't feel like it had the kind of like a lot of blockbuster movies are paced for ADHD.
Yeah.
Something has to happen.
It was a real movie.
But yeah, it was like a movie.
Yes.
I was like, oh, but I felt compelled the entire
time. It was good.
Time.
Yes. That's the thing. Like that's I agree. And like I will say this. Like I know what happens at the end of Dune. Like I mean not exactly, but I know, you know, that
you mean the whole story, the whole saga.
Yeah, I know that, like, you know,
it gets weird as shit.
It gets real weird.
Yeah.
But the crazy thing is,
I don't think they're gonna do a lot of that weird. Like, spoiler alert: his son turning into a fucking worm.
Yeah, they won't. They're
not gonna do any of that.
They'll do Dune Messiah. That'll be it. But they'll do the full arc of Paul Atreides so that you see that, you know, he was not the, you know,
he's
super savior that he was.
Spoiler alert: he's not the good guy.
Yeah. But man, I was on the edge of my seat. That knife fight with Fane Ralph at the end, I was just like, holy shit.
Yeah.
It was so tense. It was so intense. I was like, man, I've been watching this movie at this point for like 3 hours. And I had to sit through almost 40 minutes worth of commercials and bullshit because I didn't go to Alamo. You know what I mean?
You watched it on like, what, Max or something?
No, I watched it at Regal. And literally, I had to sit through trailers and commercials. And like, that was a 4-hour experience.
Normie movie theater.
Yeah.
Yeah, they load those things up with.
It's awful, dude. They should be ashamed of themselves. But man, that movie was so good. And everything about it was good. Special effects. At no point was I like, this is fake. You know what I mean? I love that it wasn't dialogue heavy. It felt like a real movie, like where they showed us, they didn't tell us. It wasn't full of quippy bullshit and exposition dumps. You know what I mean?
The funny thing is, like, the polar opposite of this movie is
Rebel
Moon Part 2.
I didn't watch the first one.
I watched both of them, unfortunately. And somehow...
I watched your review of Rebel Moon 1. You're just like, I don't think he should be directing anymore. Maybe DP or something, but directing.
But somehow Part 2 was even worse.
That's what everyone says.
Like somehow, some way. I haven't. Maybe I should do a video review of Part 2. But God, like, but when I was watching it, it dawned on me. Like it clicked. I was like, oh, this motherfucker think he's making Dune. I was like, that's what this is all about. I was like, okay, he's just not smart enough for that.
He's
like,
just not smart.
This, like, when I watched Dune, I was like, this has layers on layers.
Oh, man.
And, like, the way that it's communicated, I mean, it has layers on layers from Frank Herbert's writing, but the way that it's conveyed...
it's even a little bit better in some ways. Like, certain characters that were given fairly short shrift in the books...
Yeah.
have a lot more impact and there's a lot more commentary, especially in a modern context than, you know what I mean, mainly Shawnee. You know what I mean? But yeah, you're right. It was excellent. It was so good. And I mean, honestly, I was in from the first 6 seconds. That fucking sound effect comes on, and it's like, it's like a voice. I was like, okay, this is a fucking sci-fi movie. What was that? It like writes what it says. I was.
You know what oh yeah, it's definitely a sci-fi.
Give me the Dune. Let's do this shit.
This is 70s sci-fi. The way that it should look in 2024.
Yes. Fuck yes.
And when I think maybe I mean, there's so many great visuals.
Oh my god!
Visually, my favorite was when they went to the Harkonnen planet. Because like it was so jarring, like it almost hurt my eyes when like it suddenly went to like black and white, but not like black and white like you're watching an old movie, like high contrast, stark black and white.
Yeah.
That made it like what you would see from like, you know, a cologne ad from like the 90s or something. Like something really super intense.
It had like a Nazi cinema, early German cinema vibe.
Yeah.
It was very like, I mean, you can talk about like the kind of racial subtext of this movie. There's a lot going on in this.
There's a lot of it.
But like the Harkonnens,
and a lot of people are like, "Oh, it's great that this movie is like so, you know, pro-Muslim," and I'm like, guys, I don't think, if you chart the history of Dune and what it means, you know, for Muad'Dib and you know the prophecy of the jihads, like the you know, what is it, the jihad that goes out throughout the universe that kills like billions of people.
Yeah,
like,
it's the war they eventually are in right now. Yeah.
It's like, I don't think that's meant to paint like Islam in a pretty light.
Yeah, it's weird because it's just there's just a lot going on. It doesn't really. It's not like there's a lot of answers. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's a lot of questions and a lot of like thoughts. To me, it's like the Harkonnens represent like almost like if the Nazis had won, the Nazis conquered the planet. You know what I mean? And they just a Nazi planet 10,000 years into the future. Just how fucked up,
homogenistic, overly homogenistic, and like
to the point where it just everything is either black or white. There's nothing. You know what I mean? It's like,
but even just the eugenics of everyone looking the way that they look.
They're also super they're super corporate. It's, you know what I mean? Their blood's full of chemicals and shit. You know what I mean? It just represents that kind of thing, you know what I mean? And it's a stark contrast. Everything about it is in stark contrast to the Fremen and what's going on Arrakis, and you know, it was, I don't know, I need to see it again, but I was thinking
in
about
addition to, you know, the Emperor and all his shit that, you know, they're dealing with there.
Yeah, which I mean, I think the Emperor in the movie is the only thing that it got a little shortchanged.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, compared to the books. I didn't read the books, but I know from watching YouTube videos that they go a lot more into the Emperor and how they got to that point and all that kind of stuff. But it also talks about, you know, there's a whole concept of like free will, and it doesn't even exist in the Dune universe, and you know, the things the Emperor says, the sad realities of it. Because the thing is that we see in Paul both sides of that coin, where until he sees the future and knows the only way that they can win, he's really nice. You know what I mean? But the minute he's like, I've seen all possible futures, and the only way for us to get out of this is this very narrow path. And the very narrow path is one of a tyrant, you know what I mean? It's essentially the man his father wouldn't be and died because of it. It's exactly what the Emperor tells him, you know what I mean? And it's just a weird commentary on, you know, it's like, I don't know, man. It's a fucking great movie. Absolutely. One of the best movies I've seen in a long time.
Absolutely.
You
I can't recommend it enough.
Yeah, it delivers on everything and more. I gotta say, like, it's a pleasure that we get to see it in the theaters.
For a 3-hour movie,
it got made.
Like no ounce of fat on it at all. Like there wasn't a single point where I was like, this is kind of dragging on. Not at all. It was just,
there were moments where I was like, man, this movie's long, but at no point was I like, I'm ready for it to be over.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I was just like, it feels like I've been in here a while. Like this is but there was so much to tell. You know what I mean? There was so much and dude. I mean, the spectacle. At the end of that movie, when those fucking sandworms rise up out of the thing and come down on the thing, it looks so realistic. And I was like, now this is a fucking movie. I was just like, out loud, I was like, Jesus Christ. You know, my head was about to explode. I was just like, this is a delivery of what cinema can be. Like what a fucking movie, you know? It, in a lot of ways, like great movies really deliver. Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, fucking delivered. You know, for 1980. You know,
what this movie does is it really shows you what I think blockbuster movies have gotten incredibly lazy.
Oh my god!
And this movie shows you that, and because of that, there's been a backlash against blockbuster cinema,
and they've earned it. I mean, they've earned it.
Yeah, because it's been lazy. This movie shows you what blockbuster filmmaking should be. Like it could be big and, you know, grandiose and all of that, but that doesn't mean that you have to sacrifice the artistry of filmmaking to get there. If you have a $200 million budget, use your $200 million budget to put something phenomenal on the screen. Maybe he had it easier than most other blockbusters because he was basing it off of a book that itself was already pretty fantastical.
They ruin that shit all the time.
They do ruin that kind of shit all the time. But and a part of that, like, you know, I don't know if you ever watched David Lynch's Dune, but you know, that movie gets a lot of shit too. But I enjoy that version of Dune too. It's totally different than this, but it still has like that same, like, there is a religiosity to this movie that was intense. I wasn't, you know, expecting it to be as intense as it was, but I appreciated it, I liked it, and it helped build like the epic kind of mood of the movie. And the Lynch movie had it too, and I think it's probably just a part of the DNA of that story, right?
The Lynch movie, though, to me, and I haven't seen the whole thing, but I've watched several moments of parts of it on YouTube. It feels like it's in like a bottle. You know what I'm saying? Just because of the technology. Yeah. This movie, they went to the fucking desert. Yeah, that's the thing.
This is opened up.
They went to the desert.
Wide open.
They got helicopters out and they made those dust clouds. And if you watch like the shot breakdown of the special effects, it's like anytime those like dragonfly things were, those are actually copters that they flew close to the ground. So like they're not using Houdini to make all the dust clouds. They just painted out the copter.
Dust clouds.
They actually really, really did their best to do as much practically as they possibly can, and then really had a high standard when it came to what they showed from a CGI standpoint, and it just really spoke to the promise. It was just so great. And the special effects, the sound design. I mean, the dude, when at the end of it, when he tells the Reverend Mother to sit down. That was just fucking great, you know. She's like to talk some shit. She was like blasphemy. You're like,
no, abomination.
Abomination. That's what she says. Yes. I want to say she says blasphemy in the actual David Lynch movie.
The David Lynch movie, yeah.
And she says abomination, which is better. It's
much better.
Yeah, because she's like to talk some shit. And he's like, sit down. And she just sits down immediately, dude. Oh, it was great. I just cheered openly. I was like, you know, it was fucking great. You know?
Yeah. Can't sing this movie's praises enough.
Yeah, honestly. If you can't, anyone out here who can hear me that can go to a theater and see it in a theater, see it in the theater.
Hello, it is me, and it has finally happened. I have thrown out my back and need medication. I am now officially an old. I am no longer a young man. I'm an old sow.
Sow.
I no longer run and jump around the fields. I lay under the boulder of time and fester so the weeds can gain nourishment from my pus. What's up, Toaster? Welcome back to the stream.
Sorry to hear about
Sorry
that.
to hear about your back, but I hope the medication's helping at least. Yeah. Let's see. I saw Imaginary. That movie kind of sucked.
Didn't see it.
Night Swim. That movie was hilarious.
I didn't see that either.
Did you see Godzilla -1?
God damn it, no. I tried so hard to see that in the movie theater, but I could just not. I wanted to take Juniper because she's so eaten up with Japanese stuff in Japan, you know what I mean? And I just could not get it together, man. It just did not happen. And then it was gone out of the theaters, you know?
I think they brought it back after
they did, but it was in black
Oscar.
and white.
Okay.
And so then it was only there for like 3 days or some shit. Yeah, you know.
Fantastic. I hate Godzilla too. I didn't want to go, but a friend of mine wanted to see it, and I was like, all right, fine. And then I went there, and I was like, this movie is fucking incredible.
You know who was trying to get me to go see it with them? Was Marty. He probably texted me like 2 or 3 times, like, "Are you going to see this? Because I want to see this. Let's see it." And I was like, "I need to take Juniper to see it. I'm sorry, and maybe we can all 3 go. If you want to go with an 11-year-old kid." And he was like, "I'll do that. I'll he's like, "I want to see it." And I was like,
"I wonder if he ever got to see it."
I hope he did. I wasn't able to get together, man. I was really busy during that period.
It's an awesome movie.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch it.
And when you watch it on a big screen, like, this is a thing, and I've said this a million times, like, this movie fucked with my perception of like blockbuster filmmaking.
Yeah.
Because it looks as good as any other these blockbusters on this list, but like the budget was $15 million.
Wow, 15?
15.
Holy shit.
And like, I literally, every time I see a clip or something, I literally say to myself, I have to know what they did to make this, because it's a combination of, the CG looks incredible, but then they're also out on a boat in the ocean and that stuff looks good. And then they've got some practical sets that they built for like the destruction of the city and all that. And
did you see the creator?
Yes, actually, I did see the creator. Yeah. I think you told me to watch that before.
Yeah, so that was made for $80 million.
That also looked really good.
Looked really great.
That was a great movie. I was actually surprised at how much I liked that for as much shit. I don't know if the movie got trashed, but it definitely flopped.
Yeah, what's his face was really good in it though. It definitely flopped, but
that's a good call. That's one I don't have on my list here.
It's on streaming right now too.
Oh, I've got a whole rant I went on about watching streaming services the other night. Because like, they all want you to watch ads now. And then like, they are very unintelligent about how they cut ads into like before, the movie.
Let's just go back to 85. Everything was the same and it was fine. You know what I mean? It's like everything has just gotten, nothing changed. They just changed who we paid. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, it's basically cable again, only now it's more expensive, because if you're going to have, like, used to, you could pay like $90 and get everything. You know what I mean? Everything that was available to be watched, you could watch on cable. You know what I mean? But now you gotta, it's like just one service. HBO is $15. You know what I mean? And, Hulu or whatever Hulu's got a bunch of great stuff on it now, but Hulu is like, $9-10, and then you see ads. There's ads in it constantly.
But like, the way that they cut the ads in is so destructive. Like, I forget what movie I was watching, but I was watching some movie, middle of a scene, and then like all of a sudden an ad, and it wasn't like it's not like when a TV show from the 90s is developed specifically for ad breaks.
It was better then because they built them around ads.
Yeah. No, this just bulldozed the ad in, and I swear that there were parts of the movie that I didn't see because like the ad bled into it, and I kept trying to go back to see what parts I missed, but every time I did that, it would just play the ad again.
The algorithm.
So like, I was like, there's just some part of this movie that I can't watch because I'm watching it with ads on fucking.
That's the thing that really pisses me off, and this is a much longer rant. I'm just gonna touch on it here, but the tech bros really fucked us. You know what I mean? They came in. They came in with their bullshit, all their fucking we're disrupting, man. All their bullshit, Uber and all the streaming services and all the dumb bullshit. They came in with that, and everyone ate the shit up, and they're like, this is gonna be great. You know what I mean? And now here we are. Shit sucks way more than it did, and it's way more expensive. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm sorry.
The medication is making my brain loopy. Well, that's probably a good thing at this point.
Take the win for now.
Hello, guys. Yo, what's up, Max? How you doing? How's your night treating you? I'm going back to VHS. Hey, you know what?
Do it, man.
I pulled out. These are all the VHSs I have left in my possession.
Oh, wow.
These are it. And it's all animation. Except for, well, no, actually, I think it's all animation except for this one here, which is, it's Generation X on Fox. It was a made-for-TV movie on Fox from like 1997.
Yeah, I saw it. I don't think I watched it, but I remember the advertisement.
Well, I mean, it was an X-Men TV show, so I had to record it. So I recorded it on the old VHS. This is all I have left. That, Transformers, a bunch of anime, and then the X-Men cartoon. But I was literally looking up VCRs on Amazon, which aren't cheap, by the way. But I was like, I gotta get myself a VCR so I could watch and then start collecting VHSs again.
The problem with VHS though is it kind of blows.
It does.
It looks terrible.
It doesn't look great, and it is destructive. Like if you watch it like more than a few times, like you're
analog tape, baby.
Yeah, I mean that there are issues there, but you know, given the fact that I could at least maintain possession, I thought about this with DVDs or Blu-rays too. Like, I would rather just own it and then not be dependent on, oh, I want to watch this. Oh, it's not on Max anymore. Oh, it's not on Netflix. Or this is going to be off in 3 days. Well, I don't want to watch it right now, and then I have to go and search where I could fucking watch shit at. Like, all of that's annoying, and I just rather, at this point, it's like I'd just rather know that I could watch something I want to watch without having to hunt it down on 6 or 7 different streaming services that I may have to watch ads for on anyways.
Well, did you hear what this was? So I was watching John Campea, and they were saying that Disney is trying a new concept with Disney Plus, where they basically have channels that just play stuff.
Yeah,
and I was like,
it's just cable.
Like fucking cable, you idiots! That, you know, Jesus Christ. We've already done all this. You know what I mean? It worked fine. This is not an improvement. You know, why don't you just give us better resolution and just, you know,
Well, like, I think I don't know if it's the first, but a streaming service that did this really, really well that I praised them for was Shudder. You log into Shudder, the first thing that pops up is just some movie that's playing that they have playing.
Yeah.
And, you know, so you don't have that paralysis of trying to find something and you're scrolling a bunch of thumbnails. If you don't want to do that, you can just watch what's already, and they have like 3 different channels that you can look at, which is cool. That's fine. I don't have a problem with it for Shudder because like you only pay $5.99 or something like that, and you don't have any ads. So it's a great service.
And Shudder is like real niche.
And
you know
Shudder is incredibly niche.
It's like, so you're gonna get stuff that you're really not gonna get anyplace else.
Right.
I just like, you know, I just don't understand. It's just like now, you know, Uber sucks. You know what I mean? It's super expensive. It's all fucked up. And it's like, taxis were fine. Do we really need Uber? You know what I mean? In retrospect, isn't it just the same thing again? You know, it's just like...
Yeah, taxis, Uber's just, you know, taxis.
I watched a thing called Inshitification. It was called the Inshitification. It's like we live in the age of Inshitification, where a lot of these companies, these disruptor companies, that were basically inflated by VC money. They didn't have to turn a profit.
Oh, so yeah, because interest rates were so low that it was basically free money.
Their business models didn't involve actual profit. So they come in and they destroy all these legacy businesses that are based on making a profit. And then they go for a while and everyone moves over to them thinking, okay, this is great. And then
they monopolize, basically.
Yeah, they monopolize, and then the money, the free money starts to run out, and the people their investors are like, hey, actually, we need to start seeing some, you gotta start making some money now. And then they're like, okay, so now there is a mad dash to monetize these things, and they end up just basically back where we were before, and a lot of times a lot shittier because there's no one to compete with them. You know what I mean? They in their monopoly, it's like the VC capital and all that bullshit just pretty much just bought us into this kind of shit fest, I guess. You know?
Yep.
And you know, it kind of blows.
And they were incentivized to buy all that cheap money from the bank because it was a low investment on their end in that regard. And then, like, it was incentivized by, you know, tech bros because there's no other way to make money. And this is a pretty awesome deal. You could create a company that does some bullshit, get valued, get like a $500 million valuation, you know, hit your IPO, sell a bunch of stock,
get the fuck out,
cash out, get the fuck out, and let that be somebody else's problem.
Yeah, while it goes to shit because it never ever was worth anything.
Because it wasn't ever, because like the value was make believe.
It's a shell game.
Yeah,
and it's like
and it's all pretend money too. Like the valuation comes from nowhere, but when people start investing based off of that valuation, then all that money.
It's like crypto. Crypto is just the same thing.
It's a pump and dump.
Even more, you know what I mean? And what's so fucking crazy is that, like, you know, all, like, we didn't get anything for any of this. You know what I mean? It's just like...
Well, I will say this. In respects to, like, streaming services and all of that, the one thing we did get that I don't think we would have gotten in its absence is a much broader market for creatives to, like, work, basically. Because, like, a lot of these movies on this list, I don't think come out. They don't get produced if there wasn't, like, okay, Disney wants to put this out on Hulu, or Paramount Plus wants a movie there, or, you know, Amazon is making a movie here, and, you know, Netflix is making a movie there.
We'd have to look at the numbers, because the thing is like, a lot of these kind of movies still got made back in the day. They just show...
No, I didn't say the types of movies. I'm just saying the volume of them. Like, it's much more likely that somebody can
maybe
get a
you're
movie
right
made.
for a little while. You know what I mean? But that seems to have stopped now. They've kind of put the brakes on a lot of it. Because for a while, when the money was free, they were just making things as fast as they could to try and have more content than the next guy. When the people realized that we can only watch so much content. You know what I mean? It's like we can only handle so much shit. You know, and it's like we don't need all that crap.
Yeah, ads are not placed well sometimes. And back with Swiggy Dinner. Welcome back, Lulu. Hope your dinner was delicious. I just got a DVD of The Dark Crystal. I'm still mad that the show got canceled after one season.
Yeah, that bummed my daughter and my wife out. She was really into that show.
I haven't seen it.
It was good. It was like it's like all puppets and shit, just like the original movie.
Oh, it was a remake?
Yeah, well, it was like a continuation.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and it was they did a good job. Like it was legit, like attempts to kind of vitalize that property, and I guess no one watched it, and they quickly jettisoned it.
You can watch whatever you want. I got you. I'm part of Luffy's crew. Well, I mean, that's a part of why I moved my computer where I moved it down in my living room, but that's a story for another time.
Oh, prequel. I thought it was a sequel.
Age of Resistance was a prequel.
If I'd known it was a prequel, I wouldn't have watched it.
Yeah, exactly. It's like it's coming full circle. It's like, they got me.
You missed it earlier. We were bagging on prequels, Maniacal Toaster.
Let's see. Leave the World Behind. I saw that one. It was okay.
I didn't see that. I wanted to, but I didn't see it.
Oh, you can just... Yeah. Did you watch Fall of the House of Usher?
Yes.
What did you think of that?
It was okay.
We have a thing about Flanagan's work.
It's weird.
Because we also had like opinions on Midnight Mass.
Midnight Mass was better.
Midnight Mass was better.
Fall of the House of Usher. Midnight Mass was actually better as it went on, if I'm remembering correctly. And Fall of the House of Usher was worse as it went on, I think. But it's been a while. My wife and I, like, people talk too goddamn much in those movies.
Yeah.
I've never seen a guy who likes to hear himself monologue.
I said that about
Midnight Mass was same issue. But in this one too, it just like it got too ridiculous towards the end. It just got dumb. I was just like, there was a point in the middle or in the early middle where it was like, it seemed spooky and the ideas behind it were interesting and stuff. But by the end, the premise was taken to just like what I felt was utter ridiculousness. Like it wasn't scary or even that interesting anymore. It was just kind of dumb.
Yeah, I didn't get the sense that it was trying to be scary. It felt more like, I mean, I guess there were, the horror jump scares whenever the dude was like in the house talking to the guy and, he was seeing visions of his dead family. That was horror adjacent, but an adaptation of an Edgar Allan Poe story. Like, it felt more. It almost felt like I was watching like an up jump stage play,
Yeah.
And it kind of had more of like a thriller than it was like scary. Like, I thought it was okay. I didn't dislike it, but. Yeah, I just don't think there was a whole lot that they could have done with Fall of the House of Usher that wasn't going to be something.
I thought,
I guess, overly. I don't know what the pretentious or loquacious. I don't know what it is.
It's been a while since I read it, but I thought like just the device of the girl being like the character that I don't know. I just felt like that was taken to ridiculous extremes by the end, where they're showing pictures of her with Donald Trump and all that kind of stuff. I was like, guys, you've taken me out of this at this point. You know what I mean?
Loved Fall of the House of Usher. I thought House of Usher, I thought House on the Hill was top tier. House of Usher was obviously going to be monologue heavy. It's based on the writings of Edgar Allan Poe. That's kind of my take on that. But Flanagan also, whatever he does, is just laden with insane monologues.
Yeah.
So whether it was Poe or not, you were just going to get that. House of Usher had two of the best monologues I've heard in years, and I'm a theater major. Which monologues were those? I mean, there was so many.
There's so many, yeah.
I mean, I thought it was an okay story. I thought, but I guess
I liked Midnight Mass better.
I probably like Midnight Mass better too.
I thought that was an interesting take on vampire lore, and I like the religious,
Yeah. I mean,
I love
he was working out a lot of his
digging in the dirt, trying to get the sun's coming up, and she's digging into the beach, and you're just like, that's right. There's nowhere for you to dig, and then she burns to death. It was nice.
There was definitely, like, he was definitely, and I read an interview as such, like, he was working out a lot of his issues being raised Catholic in that particular show. So I definitely got those vibes from that. Geez, what else? Like, we're trying to catch up on all the stuff.
I saw Oppenheimer.
Have we not talked about that?
No.
Really? We haven't talked about...
I don't think
When was the last time we hung out?
It's been a while, dude.
That was like last summer.
Oppenheimer? Was it? In the summer?
I think it was. Well, Oppenheimer may have been November, actually, now that I think about it.
Maybe
Barbie was summer.
No, same day as Oppenheimer. Although, you had me convinced for a couple of seconds that it was in the summer. It was before Christmas.
Oops. God damn it.
Or maybe it was in the summer. I don't remember, man.
July, yeah. It was summer. Yeah, it was summer 2023. Yeah, so we hadn't hung out.
Yeah, I think you might have stayed at my house. We hung out right before that. When did you stay at my house?
That was like October. You went to Salem for like Halloween stuff, right?
So we have hung out since I saw Oppenheimer.
Yeah, we have. We just hadn't talked. We didn't really hang out. I just came over to your house when you left.
No, I'm saying we hung out right before that.
Did we?
I think so.
I have really terrible memory, but
so do I.
God, okay, so yeah, I mean, I liked Oppenheimer. I thought
was
that was
good.
an awesome movie.
Not as good as Dune, but it was good.
Not as good as Dune. Well, I mean, I'm trying to remember it. It's been so, because I only saw it that one time in theater.
I had some issues with some of the. I had some issues with some of the stuff with Robert Downey Jr. Some of the way the story was framed, I was just like, did this story need this? You know what I mean?
That's okay. So yeah, I was confused by the structure of the movie because there was a lot of time jumping, and to his credit, he was trying to organize the times that you were in by whether it was black and white or color.
Yeah.
But I couldn't quite tell why we kept jumping around. There was a big chunk of the movie that was all about like the research of the bomb and all of that. And then all of a sudden there's like the Senate hearing and it becomes like a political thing, and it's like, wait a second, this is what the movie's about? Like, I thought it was about the bomb part.
It had like a element of True Detective where it's all in flashbacks, they're being interviewed.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a weird way to frame the movie and not what I expected. And also the rivalry between him and the senator guy felt weirdly outside the story on some level. You know what I mean? And it felt weirdly served, and to the point where when the twist comes up at the end, you're just I was just kind of like, I have a feeling that was supposed to be more impactful than it was for me. I was just like, I
had a hard time following.
Yeah,
I was just like, I really, because I remember thinking to myself in the movie, like watching it, I was like, am I dumb? Like, no, I might be dumb.
You're not dumb.
I'm struggling to follow what's happening.
I was talking to Aaron about it, and I was like, it's a phenomenon wherein you're editing a movie that you shot it. It had a much bigger script, maybe, and you're editing it down. And there are certain things that happen that you know, and it's hard for you to be completely impartial with the parts of the story that you endemically know because you wrote the script or whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You understand what's missing. You understand the context it gives the thing. So it's like, well, we really only need this. We really only need this. And it's like, yeah, but the thing is like, for you, this story is about these two guys, but me just coming in and watching it, like, this guy's only showed up here and here, and why am I supposed to be all that about a twist over here? I barely know who this guy is in relation to him.
Yeah, and I don't understand the weight of his character because, like, we know what Oppenheimer is supposed to be about.
Yes.
It's supposed to be about this scientist creating the atom bomb and then his struggles with the morality of that, you know, hence his famous quote. We've never heard of this dude before. Like, we don't know who Robert Downey Jr.'s character is.
I looked his character up to figure out, like, to give me more context on the story, and I'm like, okay, you know, so yeah, it wasn't you. It was an issue with the movie. It was a legit issue with the movie.
It was still a great movie, though. It was still a great movie.
Max, yes, we saw it. You missed the part where we were going on and on about Dune. We slobbered over Dune for like 15 minutes a little while. It was. It's been the best movie to come out in a very long time, or certainly big blockbuster movie like that.
Yeah, we watched Dune 2, and we have nothing but positive things to say. I mean, I could try my hardest to think of a negative thing to say about that movie, and I don't know if I could come up with one.
I would actually have to watch it again to try and think of something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like I really don't know what I would say is like a negative about that movie. I guess maybe the runtime is maybe a little long, but I never felt that watching it.
I mean, there were so many amazing sequences. The sequence where they attack the harvester and they're going up underneath it. You know what I mean? Ah, dude, I was just like, man, Denis Villeneuve or whatever. Denis Villeneuve is he's everything he's cracked up to be. This is fucking great stuff. You know what I mean? This guy understands, you know, what this is about.
Cinematic storytelling.
Yes, he understands the visual. The film is a visual medium, and he is working. He's pulling all the levers. You know, I mean,
he's the best in the business right now.
Yeah,
I don't know who.
I would agree.
I don't know who is in his wheelhouse,
especially doing that. You know what I mean? I that kind of stuff. Yeah.
And Oppenheimer was great. I liked it. I don't want to trash on it like it was a bad movie.
No. I'm just saying that is an issue I had.
But that was a problem. It was a legitimate problem. And I liked Robert Downey Jr.'s role. Like, I'm glad he won an Oscar for that. You know, he was good. I want to watch the TV show that he's in on.
Oh, I do too.
It looks awesome.
It does look awesome.
It looks awesome. So like at some point, that's gonna have to be. We'll talk about the shows we've been watching here in a second. But at some point, I'm gonna have to take some time to watch that. Let's see. The monologue about.
I remember that monologue.
Gives you lemons. Okay, I don't. But you sent a link, so I'll watch that here in a little bit. I don't remember that monologue at all. They made us. They are 2 minutes each, but some of the best written pieces I've heard in a long time. All right, I'll check that out in a little bit. Did you see Barbie?
I did not.
Okay.
My wife and my daughter saw it together. They went on like a girls' thing and saw it, and I never saw it.
I liked it. I'm
sure it was good. Greta Gerwig rocks.
Yeah, I liked it more than Oppenheimer.
Wow, that's cool.
I mean, it's just a better put together movie. It was fun. The story made sense. At no point did I feel like it drug on or lagged or anything. I had a good time. It was visually awesome. It was just as visually amazing as like Oppenheimer or Dune. Just a different style because obviously it's, you know, it was a highly stylized movie. I liked everything about it. It was just a cool, fun little story, you know. So I kind of throw it up there with those others and had a good time watching it, which is more than I could say for like The Flash.
I didn't see The Flash.
Hey, don't worry about
it. I'm kind of.
Yeah, I know you're not. That's not your.
I saw Guardians of the Galaxy 3. I like that. It's got the talking raccoon in it.
Yeah, that was okay. I don't know.
I liked 2 the best of all those movies. Personally,
at this point, I'm pretty done with the MCU. Comic book movies.
Yeah, I think hopefully maybe as a culture we're ready to move on for a while.
Well, I think video game movies. I mentioned this on Max's stream a couple of days ago. I commented in his chat that I think that comic book movies are probably, or video game adaptations are probably sliding into where comic book movies are phasing out. I just see more and more of them coming down the pipeline, and they're getting better. I haven't seen any of the Sonic movies, but everybody has nothing but great things to say about that. There was the Mario movie that did really well. They're making a Minecraft movie. It just feels like there's always going to be something like that. There's a well of intellectual property that they can just go to and spit out adaptations that they don't really have to put a lot of thought into. So,
Asteroid City, I watched that. Liked it.
I didn't like it.
Oh, really?
No, I didn't watch. I mean, I have it on my list. I watched maybe 40 minutes of it, and then I was like, I can't do this anymore. So. Yeah, I think Wes Anderson is a acquired taste that is very specific for me.
I still think his best movie is Grand Budapest Hotel.
I like that one.
That movie is great, and
I don't have that on my list, but I like it.
You should finish Asteroid City. It's one of those movies that you kind of got to finish. I'm not gonna say he pulls it together at the end, but he pulls it together at the end. You know what I'm saying? It's like hard to explain.
Maybe I'll go
it may not
to
be profound for you, but it has its moments. I admire his artistry, but He had a movie in between these two movies called The French Dispatch.
I didn't see that one. I remember that coming out.
I didn't like as much. However, even that movie had some moments. But yeah, I liked Asteroid City.
Doesn't he have a new one?
I don't know. That movie just came out, so I don't.
I feel like I must be mistaken then. I feel like he had a.
I rewatched Moonrise Kingdom recently, and it was better than I remember it being.
Moonrise Kingdom.
Oh, The Ratcatcher. That's what you're thinking of. Yeah, he won an Oscar for some short movies. He did a series of shorts.
Okay, this must be. Yeah, I think this is what I was thinking of.
Yeah,
then
he won an Oscar for that.
Okay, interesting. Oppenheimer, did you hear the bomb you made that kills everyone? It killed everyone. My God, what a twist! I wasn't exactly the twist there, but yeah. I mean, I guess in that respect, if you're doing a film about Oppenheimer, the whole political aspect of it, like, that is a huge part of that story. But I think just the way that it was constructed, in that so much of the movie, it's a 3-hour movie, it's a long movie, and so much of it is about like the minutia of researching and building a bomb, and then out of nowhere it becomes like a political thriller.
Yeah, I guess
featuring a character that we didn't really.
I guess exactly. To me, I didn't need the political intrigue as much as there's so much there already. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like Oppenheimer was a weird guy, he's a flawed guy, a brilliant guy, but there was plenty of stuff there without having to frame it in this whole kind of like, you got sold up the river. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You got sold up the river, Rob.
Comic book cinema. Dead Boy Detectives came out today, and Sex Criminals is coming up on Amazon. Gay movies. They are making a Sims movie. Wait, they're making a Sex Criminals?
I don't know what Sex Criminals is, but
it
seems like this day and age we would not be.
It's a comic. I think the premise behind it is like two people who get superpowers whenever they have sex, and then they use those powers to like do crimes. I don't know. It's weird. It's weird. I don't quite know how they'll adapt that into a show, but it should be interesting, I guess.
Oh man.
A Sims movie. I can see that being similar to, what was that movie that Olivia Wilde did that got trashed?
Oh, Don't Worry Baby.
Yeah, Don't Worry Baby. I
never saw that.
It's pretty bad. I could see a Sims movie being similar to that. I feel like Don't Worry, I don't know. For a while, I used to get confused with Babylon before I watched Babylon, because it kind of seemed like it had.
I wanted to see Babylon. I never saw it.
I liked it.
I'm sure it's probably good. I think that movie caught a lot of heat because it was Damien Chazelle's time to pay the piper, the karmic piper. You know what I mean?
Karmic piper.
And he just they used his budget up, and it was he flew too close to the sun. That became the narrative with Babylon.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, the idea is that it was a $200 million movie and all these big superstars. It was supposed to be so great, and it's like
it's an ensemble cast, and it definitely it has the vibe of like what you would expect from like an ensemble blockbuster movie circa 19. I guess they were going for like a 1960s kind of vibe. Felt like a movie from like maybe the 90s or something, where you would have an ensemble cast like that. But like, it's an interesting movie. It's put together well. It's a story that I wasn't really expecting to be, a part of watching movies is, being told a story that you don't necessarily know you want to hear.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
sure.
You don't always
the good ones.
Well, I mean, even the bad ones sometimes. You don't always want to know exactly what you're going to watch before you watch it.
No. And I would argue that we talked about this before, like 75% of all American cinema, you know exactly how it's going to end before it begins.
Yeah. So that was one of those movies where it's typically not in my wheelhouse. You could see from the list of movies I watch, it's the horror movies or blockbuster movies of some degree. And not a whole lot in between. Although, I should probably populate this with the list of rom-coms I've been watching, because I have really been burning through a lot of rom-coms.
Really?
Yeah, rom-com. I guess, I think Arachnid was telling me about a genre of movie. I've never heard of the genre described this way. I guess they're called hangout films, like Dazed and Confused and stuff like that.
Oh, I love myself some Dazed and Confused, but you don't like that movie so much.
I'm not as huge a fan of it. Not that I dislike it.
But we talked about that before. That movie just kind of really hit me where I live.
Yeah, it's a zeitgeist kind of thing.
I mean, I happened to be, when that movie came out, I was a sophomore in high school, maybe, or a junior in high school.
Yeah. Fallout was great. We'll talk about Fallout here in a second because we both just finished that.
And we talked about Rebel Moon in juxtaposition to Dune as well. Max.
Oh, Max, what about Rebel Moon, the artistic equivalent to Dune 2? That's funny you asked that because that's literally, my comment was like, in watching Rebel Moon Part 2, I was like, oh, this motherfucker thinks he's making Dune. Like, that's what this is all about. Like, no, you're not. You're making something significantly worse.
Yeah.
But, hey, you know what? He took a swing, and sometimes you miss.
Yeah.
Don't Worry, Darling, and I liked it. I loved Babylon. Okay, we have opposite opinion. Well, we have opposite opinions on Don't Worry, Darling.
Well, we called it Don't Worry, Baby earlier. I'm sorry, I'm a Beach Boys fan. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Like, okay, you liked. I mean, I guess I could see how people would like that movie. I just didn't think it was all that great, but I did like Babylon.
The trailers made it look interesting, like a Twilight Zone episode or something. Yeah. I have a feeling it didn't deliver so much on that premise because it probably would have done better.
But the job the main character has is the job that I have, that it is so spot on with the way I am treated and how weird life is in that position. I can't recall what exactly that was. I'm still annoyed that Lightyear movie was supposed to be a movie made in the 90s, but didn't even feel like a movie made in the 90s. I've watched maybe 3/4 of that movie. I didn't think it was bad or anything, but...
It wasn't bad. It was just, the problem with it, it didn't have the Pixar magic.
Yeah.
I taught my daughter to it, and she didn't like it. She was just like, eh.
I feel like a lot of Disney movies and stuff lately have that kind of going for it, where it just doesn't feel like the magic is there. I guess I liked Encanto.
I didn't see Encanto.
It was pretty good.
I want to say the last Pixar movie I saw that I really liked was Soul, and even before that,
Soul was okay.
Even before that, like, I want to say the last one I saw that I really liked was hilariously that last Toy Story movie.
I haven't watched a Toy Story movie since I think Toy Story 2.
I mean, I thought Toy Story 4 would be lame because it's like, Jesus, how many times can they go back to that well?
Yeah.
But there were legit moments in that movie that were pretty great. You know what I mean? Toy Story movie is another really well put together movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was good.
Oh, I did watch this one.
I did too, yeah. I saw it at the theater. It was fun.
I wanted to see it in the theater, but I didn't get a chance to. I liked it. I thought it was really cool. Like, it was a cool premise. I didn't know, because like I went into this, I try to go to movies ice cold now. I don't really like watching trailers.
Ice cold.
I just want to be surprised by whatever it is I see. So I didn't know what the premise of this actually was. I thought it was, so it's, I don't usually like found footage movies. This was different because obviously this is like a production, like a 70s TV show, variety show.
My issue was this. I liked this movie. I felt like the interstitial stuff, the behind the scenes footage kind of
took you out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's obviously like, you know, the connective tissue.
Yeah, they should.
We have to make sure that audiences know what's happening so that things make sense, you know, when things go crazy, right? Like and also to, like, you know, build up some character building for, this is what this person thinks about what's happening here. This is how we know that the other guy died after he had his attack, and this is how we get, like, I understand why it exists, but I kind of agree. I half agree with you. I understand where you're coming from, and I don't disagree. And because it's shot in a different style than the show itself, like, the show is like you're watching a VHS from the 70s.
Yes.
And it has its own vibe. And it works. It's cool, actually. And I get the sense that this guy I got the sense that he may have been a failing late night host, you know?
Yeah.
But the other parts are shot different. Like
they're shot cinematically, like you're watching a movie.
Yeah.
That's my issue. So
it doesn't retain like the found footage kind of like this is what a behind the scenes would look like.
Exactly.
It's a guy with
if
a camera.
if we're doing it, that's what we're doing. What they should have done is, in my opinion, is they should have found a VHS camera from the 70s, and the idea is...
And they should have cast a cameraman.
Exactly.
Like that, so like they address the guy that's actually filming the behind-the-scenes stuff.
And he doesn't get anywhere near as much coverage, and it really does feel like, you know, when you see like old like VHS like news footage from the 70s cobbled together, and it's like, you know, it's all kind of out, you know, there used to be some documentaries where they would show what they got. Now, they didn't get everything, but the guy's back there, he's filming it. Yeah. He's been filming all season long. They could argue that, you know, this season such and such was making a documentary for USC or whatever. They could have added a little bit more up front of like explaining where the behind the scenes footage, where it came from, so they could have played into that a little bit, and then had it been a little bit more, and just let the actors do the thing. Let the guy, like, it's shaky, it's, you know, it's some of the dialogue, sometimes the audio is fucked up. Really lean in to those interstitial things, so
and have him react. What would have also been cool about, you know, doing it that way is when you get to the moment in the movie, and I'm sorry if there are spoilers, I'll try not to spoil, but it's gonna be pretty difficult considering my commentary on what I think would have been better. When you get to the point in the movie where, you know, the big bad reveals themselves, it's not even found footage anymore. It's not like it's shot through like a cameraman.
It kind of goes into just like, it's supposed to be the footage that they're shooting at the thing, but then it starts to go into the guy's head and shit. Like,
yeah, it becomes something like, I feel like it would have been cooler if it would have made, and it would have made more sense, I think, if you did have these two different types of POVs. One are the 3 cameras from the show that have that 70s TV show look. And the second is the guy holding the camera.
It's in black and white. It's really shitty looking.
Really shaky, Blair Witch kind of shit.
Terrible audio, but 70s style, then, not like a VHS.
Once shit goes cattywampus, those cameras, the 70s cameras, or the TV studio cameras, go down. And then it cuts to the guy with the camcorder who is still recording it, and all of the crazy shit happens from his vantage point. He's still recording it. He's, you know, trying to hide wherever he can, or he's having but he's still like, and you see all the shit that's happening through his camera, through that shot. And then that way, you know, it doesn't feel like the movie started off as one thing, like found footage, and then at some point they just gave up on it. Like, well, found footage is cool, but we can't do what we want to do without it, so we'll just abandon it. It'll just become its own thing. And then, yeah, you're in the guy's head. He's having like hallucinations, and there's a shot from above him when, you know, he's holding at the. And it's where the fuck did that camera come from?
Where did we get a crane shot?
Yeah, it's like everybody ran out of the studio.
It would be a lot more experimental. Like it wouldn't be as mainstream, like what I'm talking about, because it would need to feel disjointed, like it really was cobbled together of found footage of just this broadcast disaster. Yeah. But I think it would be more affecting.
It would. I think it would have been more affecting, and I think that maybe it wouldn't have been as mainstream, given that this movie was a success by, you know, its standards. I
gotta make one of these horror movies, because it's like you can make them and they make so much money for what they cost. You know what I mean? If you come up with a good idea and execute it remotely well.
Let's do it. I'm on board. I'm 1,000% on board with like a $200 horror movie. Let's get some string. We'll have the ghost that's just like a ball with the sack over.
A boo ghost.
Yes, a boo ghost. 11 million box office. I don't know what the budget is, but I can't imagine it's.
I'm surprised it's not more than that.
Let's see.
I mean, it got a lot of people talking about it online and shit.
But I don't think the budget was more. I mean, yeah, a lot of people. It did get a lot of traction on social media, but I don't think the budget was extensive, and I don't think that
box office earned 2.8 million for the best opening weekend. It doesn't really go into its budget.
It expanded into 1,442 theaters. Okay, so it did expand out a little bit.
That's a lot of theaters.
That's a lot of theaters.
I don't know the rest of them.
Sure, but see if I can find the budget, because now I'm curious. Lightyear felt like a movie they were told to make rather than a movie they cared about. I get the sense that a lot of movies kind of go that way nowadays. Cameraman found footage like Cloverfield? Yeah, exactly. Like, that should have been the second camera viewpoint kind of aesthetic. Is a cameraman found footage for the behind-the-scenes stuff, and then you rely on that guy to visually show you all of the things that happen when shit goes awry. My friends make inexpensive horror movies in Austin and are blowing up all over the horror scene. Who are your friends? What have they been making? I want to make a horror movie about some biker in the middle of a fucking desert who hunts people, uses their blood to fuel their bike, and in the end the twist, surprise, it's a demon. But like, instead of horns and stuff, under the helmet and jacket, it's just smoke. Oh, so so the biker is a demon. For some reason, I was thinking like the bike is a demon. Like the bike is a demon, and the biker is just like a human slave that has no choice but to hunt for blood for its demon master. Horror web. I feel like you may have sent this link to me at some point before. Tales of the Doom, The Black Quarry, The Witch's Bargain, Demon Code, and more. Basic Witch. Skara presents Tales of the Doomed. Oh man, this looks like a music video from the 80s. There are all sorts of colors. This is very colorful. I was also thinking the biker would see what the bike sees, so the bike being the demon would be a better twist. Now that you mention it, well, you know what? Just give me a special thanks in your writing credit, and I'll accept that. Oh, let me see.
Did you see the new Ghostbusters?
I haven't seen it. I heard that it flopped though.
Yeah, it did.
A part of me is sad by that because of my childhood love of Ghostbusters, but another part of me is like, you know what? Stop trying to milk it. Some random dude on Reddit thinks the budget is between $1 to $1.5 million.
And they did great. $11 million bucks.
Yeah, $11 million.
They made 10 times their budget.
I think the budget was probably closer to maybe $3 or $4 million, but you know, either way, 11 million off of that is pretty remarkable.
Yeah, I mean, like the whole thing was shot in one place.
Yeah, it's just one location.
One set.
That helps keep things very cheap. Let's see, what else have I seen? I've not seen Civil War yet.
I haven't seen it either.
Didn't even know what Baby Reindeer is.
Supposedly it's good. It's about a woman who stalks a dude, I think. It's based on a true story, maybe?
Interesting. Haven't seen Monkey Man. I've heard some pretty good things about it. If you like John Wick style.
Yeah, it just seems like hella violent. And I mean, I'm not opposed to violence, but I just like, that seems to be the only thing. That's its thing.
I do want to see Immaculate. Like...
Oh, that's the one where the girl gets covered in blood at the end?
Is that? I mean, I don't know. I don't know how it is.
That was it. That's what she said. She said her only.
Sydney Sweeney.
Yeah, Sydney Sweeney's. She's like, I need to be covered in blood at the end of this movie or something like that. And I'm like, okay.
Hey, you know what? Actors have those compulsions sometimes. She's kind of at the beginning of a moment here. Everyone's all about her.
Yeah.
Like, I get it. She's fucking gorgeous, but I did watch this, unfortunately. I wish I could give
Rebel, the Scar Giver.
This part.
It's a terrible
it's
name.
Such again, Stephen Colbert presents Alpha Squad 7,
Yeah,
Lady Nocturne,
dude,
a Ted Jansen
way better.
adventure.
Lady
Rebel
Nocturne.
Moon, Part 2, The Scar Giver. this movie is so unbelievably fucking lame. I'm sorry. Like, I really wanted, before the first one came out, I really wanted this movie series to be good, because this was supposed to be, and in watching this I understand, like, oh yeah, that's really, like, nobody at,
maybe Kathleen Kennedy knows what she's doing.
Exactly. It's like nobody at Disney is going, oh, we missed the boat on this guy. Oh no, we definitely missed out. Like, no, like, nobody's losing sleep over this shit. Like, I wanted to see his version of Star Wars be something unique and cool and epic, and again, like I mentioned last time in my review, like, he has a I guess good is subjective, but he definitely has a visual style.
Yeah,
he has an aesthetic for certain.
He definitely has an aesthetic.
You know, and I appreciate, you know, his vision, if nothing else. And it would have been cool to see something, you know, epic in that kind of Star Wars wheelhouse. I don't think we get enough movies like Star Wars, you know, because it takes a lot to make those. But what he ended up crapping out is just like the worst writing I've seen in a story in a long time, and that's the first one. It's way worse than the second. Like,
I heard there's a scene where everyone sits around and goes, "Let's all tell our stories."
Yes,
and it's just like,
that's exactly what I was just about to say.
It's exposition time.
It's worse than exposition. They have to come up with a word that goes beyond exposition dump, because, like, it's literally like some character that doesn't really know who all of these rebels are. Like, if there was any kind of scene where she, like, spends any amount of time around them, getting to know them, that would explain how she knows this stuff.
Yeah.
I guess maybe it was cut, but that's a bad scene to cut, because in this part, she literally goes to each and every individual person and is like, you have a heart that is full of courage, and you blah 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 blah.
Oh, no.
And then she goes literally to the next one. You have a shining wisdom, and etc. etc. And she's saying all of this stuff about their personalities that does not connect at all, because we never see it. We never see this character being this way or that character. Every character sounds the same when they speak. Like, they all sound the same. They all basically and the worst part about that scene is, after you go character by character just spitting out exposition, there is literally another scene, like, almost directly after it. All of those characters are in a room, and they go one by one sharing their backstory.
Yeah,
that's
what I heard.
Flashbacks.
Yeah.
So it's this character.
A ton of slow motion too. It's like every slow motion flashback you can imagine.
Dude. Let me see. I watched this video the other day. I mean, we're not gonna watch it here because it's long and it's a lot. It's intense. But I did watch it the other day.
Oh, it's moist critical.
Yeah.
This guy's like kind of taking over the internet. I probably watched like at least one of these guys' videos a day.
I like his shit. He's good.
I did the unthinkable. I rewatched Rebel Moon Part 2, The Scar.
He fucking hates these movies.
And there's a good reason for this. This is something no sane, ordinary mortal would ever do. Watching that dog shit movie twice, unfathomable. Makes God frown for his creation. It's weirdo behavior. I think the movie is atrocious, and I think the first one is bad. % on Rotten Tomatoes, and all of the normal people making fun of this film just really succeeded where MK Ultra has failed. I had, as well as every other sensible person on this planet, is that Zack Snyder has an over-reliance on slow motion, and Rebel Moon Part 2 is the biggest, most criminal execution of this obsession. It is an unbearable amount of slow motion, it is insufferably cringe, and the only scar that Rebel Moon Part 2 is giving is to its audience's patience. So let's dive in. I rewatched it, and these are my findings. Now, I think it's important to the scientific study here that I mentioned that this film had me dozing off a couple of times. I think it's nearly impossible to sit through Rebel Moon Part 2 without falling asleep at least once or twice. It had me drowsy. This shit hits harder than NyQuil. It's like the Sandman constantly throwing sand in your face with the most boring movie ever. So I think there is a good chance that I did miss some slow-mo because I just couldn't keep my eyes open for the entire runtime, which is natural. So This is going to be the bare minimum of slow-mo. There might be more that slipped under my radar when I was catching some Z's watching this.
I had an intern
just
rewatch
making
it
note of
and
that.
and make the note of every slow-mo. They might have fucked it up.
Sequence. That's when they're giving you the lay of the land, the exposition. So for the first 14 minutes, there is no slow motion. That's a huge round of applause from me for Zack Snyder there, showing restraint, not putting slow motion in the first 14 minutes. And then all hell breaks loose. At 14 minutes and 1 second, we get our first slow-mo. It's the main character giving her backstory to her lover. So after they fuck, she starts telling him about
that
her
scene
past.
is crazy too. So it makes no like at no point is there any inclination in the at all in the first movie that these two have like a romantic thing.
Nice.
And then at the start of this movie, they're talking. And like they're just standing on a wheat field or something, and they're talking, and then like they kind of make like eyes at each other at the end of like this dialogue session, and then hard cut to them in bed after they had sex.
Oh wow!
And it's like, wait, what? Did I miss something? Like what just happened here? Like they did. It's not even like they started kissing or anything. I don't think it was just like they're looking at each other, and then they're in bed.
I like how it's like they cut out any kind of romantic stuff beforehand, the sex all gone, so we can just leave room for the violence.
Yeah.
It's like we're gonna have a lot of violence in here. We don't want to we don't want to confuse you guys with any sex or bum you out.
Sequence lasts from 14 minutes and 1 second to 15 minutes and 26 seconds. The flashback sequence is characters walking while she info dumps, and it is entirely in slow motion for that entire minute and 20 something seconds. It then snaps out of slow motion and picks back up at 16 minutes and 42 seconds. And at 16 minutes and 42 seconds, the main character gets betrayed in a lame scene. Guy gets stabbed and the bad guy says, "Do it." Which, side note, I think is adorable, since this is like basically a bad Star Wars fan fiction come to life from Zack Snyder. It's very fitting that he has like a Palpatine impression here, kind of, but it's really awful. You've probably seen the clips on Twitter with people dunking on it with the "do it" clip floating around everywhere. This is in slow motion, and it lasts from 1640 to 1701. There's then a brief respite from slow motion as it goes to normal speed, but then it goes back into slow motion at 1731 and lasts to 1748. And this is a character that gets shot and slowly falls. There's then more slow motion at 1826 and lasts to 19 minutes. And this is the characters shouting "murderer" as the main character escapes. This is all during her flashback sequence that she's explaining to her lover. So then after she escapes, we then go to the present. She's now no longer in a flashback, but the slow motion, don't worry, it's coming back. At 20 minutes and 41 seconds, we have our first slow motion farming sequence. So that lasts all the way up until
There's a lot of slow motion farming too.
2209 scene goes from
so like
24:37 to
this entire video, this entire 25-minute video is just him tracking all of
their sales, because you've been surrounded by so much of it throughout this film that you just get fucking tired of it. And also, the cool scenes would be really other parts that didn't need it. It has too much fucking.
Let me see. I'm trying to get to
in
where
slow motion start to lose their luster, take the wind out of their sails, because you've been surrounded by crazy. It's actually less than I thought, though. In 12 minutes, 21 minutes is spent in worth of slow motion in this movie. So just shy of 21 minutes worth of slow motion in this movie. So out of 100...
Wow.
21 minutes of slow motion. 21 minutes.
That is a lot of slow motion. Holy shit.
21 minutes. Like, slow, and slow motion, obviously, by the nature of how it works, makes things go slow. So you're watching slow-ass shit for almost 30 minutes in that movie. Like,
wow.
It's a travesty. It's a travesty of filmmaking. I'm gonna give this shit a half a star. It's one of the worst movies, and I guess most people agree with me. Look at that, 1.9 from the fans.
Wow. Did you see Poor Things with Emma Stone?
No, I haven't actually seen that. No. That wasn't that nominated for?
Yeah, she won Best Actor. Dude, that shit is almost a porn movie. Like I was watching my wife, like Aaron.
But
was
isn't
watching
it like it's like she's trapped? She's like a kid in an adult's body. Or
yeah.
Like
so
that?
the premise is like she is this woman who commits suicide, and her body.
Oh, Lulu hit me with the hydrate. I'm sorry, I missed that 45 minutes ago.
So she drowned and she threw herself into a river, and the scientist gets her dead body and takes her, but the baby's still alive in there, or the baby's about to die or something. So he takes the brain out of the baby and puts it in her brain. Gets rid of her brain because she's brain dead, and puts the baby's brain in her brain. And so she comes back to life, but she's got a baby brain in a full-grown body. But for reasons, just for the, there's not really a scientific basis for it, but she ages very quickly. Her brain develops very fast because it's in this full body. So
yeah.
And then she goes on an elaborate series of journeys, most of which involve having a lot of sex.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not a movie you want to watch with your mom or dad in the room.
Fair enough. They gotta stop with the Ghostbusters movies and make the Office-style Ghostbusters show. I think they should probably just retire Ghostbusters altogether, honestly. Baby Reindeer is rough. It starts off silly haha, and then gets very dark. Must trigger warning. Okay, well, I mean, if it's about a stalker, then I imagine it might get pretty grim. That slow-mo is gonna come up in the pitch meeting episode. I don't even watch that in a while. I saw Poor Things twice in theaters. Worth it, so good. I mean, did you like it?
I didn't get to finish it. I watched maybe the first third of it, and then I think my daughter came downstairs and we had to put that shit on hold. And then Aaron finished it later on, and I saw it maybe towards the end. But it's wild. I mean, it's real interesting. The part I saw was cool, but it's real different. It's not.
Yeah.
It's like it's surrealistic. You know what I mean? Real surrealistic.
Okay.
But the visual style, it's got a production design is really excellent. And Emma Stone is great, obviously. She's generally great in everything. Did you ever see The Curse?
The Curse.
With her and Nathan Fielder?
No, I haven't.
Dude.
Nathan Fielder?
Yeah, it's not a movie, it's a show. But I couldn't watch the whole thing. I had to it's so cringy on purpose that I was reading an article about it, and the person was like, it's almost a new kind of horror. It's so cringy that it approaches horror levels of cringe, like the way you feel about it. It's wild.
I'll have to give that a look at sometimes then.
Yeah, no, it's rough, dude. It's about this couple that are trying to make a reality show wherein they essentially gentrify this kind of poor New Mexico neighborhood, and they're building all these wacky eco houses in there, and they're also trying to act like they're not gentrifying it, like they're trying to make it they're doing it altruistically to save the neighborhood and stuff, but basically they're just gentrifying the shit out of it, and it's just rough, man. It's got the Safdie brother, I want to say Benny Safdie, the guy he's one of the co-creators with Nathan Fielder, the guy who was in Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
He's in it too. He plays the producer of the reality show.
Okay.
It's good, but boy, it's
The Curse?
rough stuff. Yeah. Another film you want to not watch with your parents. I made the mistake of watching the first episode with my mom.
Okay, I'll have to put this on my list. Where do you watch it at?
I want to say it was on Showtime.
I don't get Showtime.
It may not be. It may be on other streaming services now. But at the time, I want to say it was Paramount Plus had a Showtime addendum to it.
Yeah, and I think Amazon has one too.
Yeah, and we watched on Paramount Plus, but I want to say through its Showtime.
Okay.
You could buy it on Amazon Video, I guess. Looking at it right there, but I'm not sure. If you buy it, if you're gonna feel the want. I had to tap out of it. It was good, but I had to tap out. It was it was so cringy. It was hard. It was doing that on purpose. You know what I mean? And it's like I have to like reevaluate why I'm watching it. You know, if it's something's that hard for me to watch, it's like why am I doing this?
I'm that way too. Like I remember, back when I used to watch TV sitcoms. If there was ever like a moment where it was obviously like a character was doing something embarrassing, I couldn't watch it. I had to turn away or something. So I get what you're getting at, but
I have to leave the room a lot of times. But this shit is like. This is way beyond any. This is like you're like, don't do it. What are you doing? No. Yeah, it's like.
Oh, I can't find it on Letterboxd.
What, Fallout?
Yeah, I was trying to see Fallout.
Do they have TV shows on Letterboxd or just movies?
I think they have TV shows on there. I think I put some TV shows on my thing. I'm pretty sure they have TV shows.
I don't want to see a thing for films. No, it's just films.
I think they all bunch them together. Yeah, Andor's right here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, She-Hulk. Yeah, they have TV shows on here. I guess they just don't have Fallout yet. But hey, what do you think about Fallout?
I liked it. I thought it was really fun.
Have you played any of those games?
Oh yeah, I played Fallout.
Yeah, 3. You said you played Fallout 3. Yeah. So you were more familiar with it going in than I was.
A lot.
I didn't know shit.
Because I played Fallout 3 for a while. It took me a while to tap out of Fallout 3, and I love the lore, and I still think the Pip-Boy and the design of the Pip-Boy is the greatest HUD ever created in any video game ever.
Oh man, I feel a way about that, but based off of how I use it in Fallout 4. I don't know if the controls are the same in 3, but
I'm just like
I just don't like the UI design in Fallout 4.
Yeah, I haven't played Fallout 4, but to me, like, the HUD actually makes sense for the story, and it looks like something that exists in the world of the story, and it makes sense.
For certain.
You know what I mean? Like this, if you look at it almost as a bit of production design, it goes excellently. It's very on point, and I love the monochromatic thing, all the work that went into the style of it.
Yeah, it looked like a 386.
Yeah, I loved it.
Maybe
I thought it was great.
Yeah, I guess from the production design standpoint, I thought it was top notch. It felt like, and again, I didn't play the games, before watching it, so I didn't know that there were fucking mech suits and
I never got
dudes
a mech suit,
or anything like that.
Yeah.
So like just getting, I may have talked to you about this at some point before in the past, but getting exposed to like the Vault people, and then like all of a sudden there are guys that are dressed like they're in the Old West, and it's like, well, where'd they find that shit? And then all of a sudden there's dudes. It felt like that old role-playing game, that old pen and paper role-playing game Rifts.
Oh yeah, I remember Rifts.
Yeah, it felt like I was watching a Rifts TV show where it's like, okay, you guys want to play a role-playing game? Yeah. All right, what are you gonna be? You want to be a dragon? You're a dragon. Yeah. You want to be a vampire? You're a vampire. You want to pilot a 70-foot mech? You're a 70-foot mech pilot.
You're in.
It's like, well, what the fuck is this crazy-ass world that all of this is like a part of it? That's kind of how I felt about Fallout as I was just getting into it. But I like the show a lot.
I liked it. It's funny because I read some review that said it was best in the first few episodes. I actually felt with the opposite. I felt like there was a little bit of those first couple of episodes that had the Jonathan Nolan Westworld stink on them to me. You know what I mean?
Oh wait, you didn't like Westworld? I know we watched the first season of Westworld together. First season,
I liked it. The second season,
I didn't watch anything after that.
Had a pretty good episode, but in general, it was weird. Third season was pretty dreadful, but it kind of felt like third season Westworld, just in a sense that like there was a lot of walking. Everyone's traveling, and it's these little sections of people, and it just kind of had that vibe. And I was like, I don't know, man. There's something. It's weird. It's like. There's something that reminds me very much of season 3 of Westworld about this, and maybe even season 2. And I'm not sure how I feel about it.
Okay,
it's like,
fair enough.
But then it righted the ship. They got some intrigue going with the Vault 32 and cranked up the mystery boxes a little bit, and then Walton Goggins got a little bit more screen time in the past. You know what I mean? Because I don't know, maybe I just got Westworld vibes from he had a very Man in Black.
And I told that to a friend of mine that I was watching it with. I was like, he has a very Ed Harris vibe from Westworld.
And so, you know, there was just a lot of parallels, I think, at first especially, and then it took it a little.
You know what? Now that you mention that, I can see that because I forget Lucy. She kind of, I guess, she would be like the straight man. She would be like the visitor to Westworld, who kind of has a naive perspective on the park and all of that. And then also, I guess she kind of played that role.
Yeah, it's just there was, I don't know, it was just it was hard to quantify because it's been so long since I saw Westworld, but Jonathan Nolan directed the first couple episodes, you know what I mean? And so I just had that vibe a little bit, and it didn't kill it for me, you know what I mean? But I wasn't like, I was kind of feeling like, this show might have been a little bit oversold, you know what I mean? And
when did the switch flip then?
Maybe like episodes 3 or 4. I binged them all. It's kind of hard to tell, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because of this model, right? So I don't really know. The episodes run together. I watched like episodes 3 through like 6 in one sitting, and then the rest of the episodes, I think like 7. And how many episodes were there? 10 or 8?
I think it was 10. I try not to binge watch shows for that very reason anymore. Yeah. I like that a lot of streaming services are moving to weekly releases.
Again, just
I know. Just go back to TV.
Just go back to the
go back to TV. You know? Nothing you did was better.
Exactly.
Right?
The last 20 years were an interesting experience. Let's just dial it back, guys.
Collating all of the production studios into one service, that was better. Weekly releases, that was better.
Yep.
Fucking 23 episode seasons and stuff. Like, and that's the thing. Shrinkflation. When Joe Biden was ranting about shrinkflation, I was like, fuck the potato chips, man. Talk about streaming services, because it used to be you had a season of television that was 23 episodes. And they made it work. You would pay whatever service you need to pay, whether it was cable, but you could watch it for free on broadcast, but it was 23 episodes. But then it pared down to 13 episodes when Netflix came out with House of Cards and shit. And then it pared down to 10 episodes. And then it pared down to 8 episodes. And then, like in some shows, like Obi-Wan, 6 episodes. And then there's shit like Witcher, like the Witcher Blood thing, which was like 4 episodes. There's some other things that are 4 episodes too. I think Castlevania may have been 4 episodes. But like, it's like, god damn, dude, like I'm paying, like I don't pay for 4 episodes worth of shit.
Yeah.
Like
so we rewatched The Office, right?
Yeah.
And first season is only 6 episodes. It was kind of like a tester season. But after that, 23 episodes, 20 season. And then we started watching Murder, She Wrote again, which, you know, I always liked as a kid, and Aaron always really liked, so we thought Juniper would like it. So we started watching Murder, She Wrote.
Let me guess. She did not.
Oh, no, she likes it.
She likes it?
Oh, yeah, she likes Murder, She Wrote. Oh, man.
I didn't like Murder, She Wrote as a kid.
Oh, really?
Yeah, no. Maybe I should rewatch it as an adult.
I don't know. It's one of those things where if you didn't like it as a kid, you probably wouldn't like it as an adult. Part of the reason I like it is because I liked it as a kid. And I remember it was one of those shows my grandma liked to watch. And I would always be like, and I'd watch it. Of course, I liked Angela Lansbury. She would always seem really
I'm trying to remember the theme song. I feel like I have it in my head.
It's like, you know, it's like,
it's like a piano thing, but I can't remember.
She's like typing. And the first episode does a really good job of setting up the entire season. I was like, you know, it's a different type of television, but you know, 23 episodes a season, dude. You know, they really are just moving through it.
Grinding through it, man. And
they were there to entertain your ass every week. They weren't fucking around. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like, and there was no absent, like, depending on the show.
Shot on film. Every episode, you know, cut between fucking, you know.
People were physically splicing film together and shit, and like, it was a bigger production. It was much harder to put that shit all together back then. Yeah. Because even if you had to like communicate with motherfuckers, you weren't texting people.
No.
You had to you weren't emailing anyone. You had to call them up, and if they were there, great, awesome. If they weren't there, then did they have an assistant you could leave a message with, or an answering machine maybe? But you know, who knows?
Dude.
Who knows? But like now, you know, if you need to contact somebody, you contact them right away. You're shooting, you don't have to worry about buying film. It's all digital now. Yeah. Like, you can put it on the cloud. Everybody has access to it
afterwards.
You can fix the lighting, like in post to a dramatic degree. Like, there's no excuse. There's no excuse for cutting down from 23 episodes to 10.
Yeah.
Like, it should be double the episodes, if anything. It should be like a fucking 40 episode season.
Honestly, though, people couldn't write that many episodes.
That's the only thing.
I mean, like, they could barely write fucking 8 episodes of The Witcher. They fucking barely get that shit done. And all the episodes blow. You know what I mean? It's like I'd rather watch 10 episodes of something good than 23 episodes of something mediocre.
Well, it doesn't have to be mediocre because a lot of those shows, I mean, Star Trek, there were a couple episodes.
You're right. Next Generation was generally.
Yeah,
they weren't all super bangers.
They weren't all, but
they were all
entertaining. They were all pretty
good. You know what I mean? Yeah. And you just expected different things. I actually think, and you and I have talked about this ad nauseum, but I think we should start looking again at the episodic model for television. I think that the whole long arc
premium television where you have a long arc story from first episode. Yeah, I have a problem with that too. Like I'm watching X-Men 97 on Disney Plus, and the original X-Men cartoon in the 90s was kind of a hybrid. Like it was mostly episode by episode stories, but they kind of strung a little bit of a longer arc story in there.
Yeah, it's like the X-Files kind of did that.
Yeah, and this new one is like premium television where each episode is just a small sliver of the larger.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, I understand, but it was kind of better when it was just the episode by episode thing. Like it really focuses your writing ability. Because you can't lean on, we'll this happens here, but then we explain it later, or we drag it out. It's like, no. You've got 20 minutes to get from A to B to C and finish it up with a bow. Wrap it up with the bow. Make it compelling, make it action-packed or whatever. You have to have your twist. Like, do all of that in this constraint. And I think it focused people. It focused writing. It focused people's ability to write characters that had, a lot more depth, I think, because
they had to show them in those little small snippets. They had to be those characters
because they couldn't rely on like lengthy dialogue, or anything like, oh, we're spending 5 minutes. Like there was a scene in one of the earlier episodes of X-Men that I remember thinking about it as I was watching it, because like I wasn't watching it with like a critical eye. I wasn't trying to like dissect it. Like it was X-Men. I haven't watched
letting it wash over.
Yeah, so I was like, yeah, this is awesome. It looks great. It's like watching, But as the scene was playing out, it was Jubilee and Sunspot talking at a club, and I noticed like they've been talking for a while. Like this scene is kind of like, I don't ever recall there being a scene in the earlier cartoon where two characters would talk back and forth for this amount of time.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's interesting. Like, I guess maybe because they're doing this as a long arc thing, they afford themselves more time for characters to just sit around and talk, in an episode. But is that necessarily a good thing, or is it? It kind of felt like, isn't there a way to like get the point across without relying on dialogue, like, hammering the point home? And it's not like it was being expositional. It was just like, okay, I get what you're doing, but, you're burning daylight here. I only got a couple more minutes in this episode. Let's go. Let's get this going. Like, so I feel like definitely episodic writing just really kind of forces people to, I guess, get, for lack of a better description, get better at writing.
I mean, that's the thing, too, is that I don't think it has to be, either one way or the other. It's just like we don't get any really episodic TV except for like network TV. If you want to watch, and those shows are all dreadful, but it's not because they're episodic. It's just because the shows are dreadful. But like
some of them, I mean, I started watching Evil.
I haven't watched that show, but I saw an episode of Tracker and it was terrible.
Oh, I didn't see Tracker. Tracker just I saw a commercial for Tracker and I was like, what is this, like Kmart Reacher? Like, what's happening here? Like, okay, well, I'm not gonna watch that shit. But Evil isn't bad. I need to finish watching it, like, because I was intrigued by it, and I was like, you know what? I haven't watched a network television show in ages. I know that, despite the gray in my beard, I'm not the demographic for network television anymore. But I kind of want to see what it looks like now, because last time I actually watched network television, Jesus, what shows was I watching when I watched network television?
I watched Lost back in the day.
I didn't watch Lost. I didn't watch Heroes.
I didn't watch Heroes.
I mean, it must have been a long time ago when I actually watched Did I watch X-Files? No, I didn't watch Bones. God, it must have been the 90s when I last really seriously watched network television. Because I didn't watch The Office either. Not until way later, at least.
The 90s had some great long shows that were quirky. Like, did you like Northern Exposure?
I remember Northern Exposure.
That was a great show. You know what I mean?
You know,
those kind of shows don't get made. I mean, I don't know. Maybe they do. I don't know. So many shows are getting made, but the shows are just like weird little slices of life.
Outer Range on Amazon.
I've seen it.
But that's probably the closest to like.
That's definitely a long arc show, though.
It is a long arc show.
I want like to me like The Witcher. Why did they make The Witcher episodic?
Oh, we've got hours of videos on the YouTube channel ranting about that.
We really do. But I mean, that show was just screaming for it.
It was.
You know what I mean? And it's just like
because they want it to be Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
They want it to be
I think Game of Thrones really, it's sad that it's like when something comes out and it's really good and makes a big impact, it kind of does a disservice to some degree because everything just spends a bunch of time trying to copy it. Even like right now, like Aaron and I joke, like the title sequence to Shogun is basically not exactly Game of Thrones, but certainly in that Game of Thronesy, Westworldy, you know, the piano, and then it gets bigger and the things, and then we're all zoomed into like a mechanical world.
You know, and that's the interesting thing about, like, I thought that we had moved past those kinds of pretentious show intros because a lot of shows now don't do that. They just go
like Fallout didn't even do an intro. Yeah,
it has an intro, but it just says Fallout, and then that's it. That's like a lot of shows do that now. So like when I watched the first 4 episodes of Shogun, which is great by the way.
Yeah, it is really good.
But I was really kind of surprised. I was like, wow, so we're still doing like the whole, you know, True Detective style artistic intro thing. Yeah. It's like interesting. I feel like that's a relic of the past, but
they just did it in True Detective.
Did we talk about Night Country?
We talked about it via text. We didn't talk about it in any kind of public forum.
Yeah, okay. Oh god, we have so much to catch up on. You know what? Let's what time is it? You gotta leave?
Yeah, I gotta take Juniper to school tomorrow. We do have to kind of wrap it.
You gotta come back then so we can finish talking about Shogun, True Detective Night Country, and who knows what else in between. But
yeah, because I will have probably finished Shogun by the time I come back. Right now, I'm really into it though. It's getting good.
Contact embarrassment is why I can't stand to watch things like The Office or Always Sunny, much to my husband's despair. I understand that.
Oh, I completely understand.
I understand that.
I have to leave the room when I'm watching The Office, but dude, I had to leave the show, The Curse.
You have to walk away from the entire show.
Yeah, dude, it is.
My grandmother used to watch Are You Being Served with me in the room thinking I wouldn't get the jokes. That show was hilariously raunchy. I've never even heard of that.
Yeah, neither have
I. Write 40 episodes. This is why we had a writer's strike. I'm not saying don't pay them appropriately.
Yeah, I mean, I'm saying pay them all the money.
Pay them every single fucking penny they're worth, and then have them write 40 episodes.
Yeah.
I would do it. Absolutely. Hell yeah, I would write 40 episodes if they were going to pay me appropriately for it.
I don't know, 40's a lot.
40, I mean, but it's like a writer's room, so you could push that out. But you know, it's a lot. It's a heavy load for sure. But guess what? Really? Guess what? It takes 2 fucking years for a season of television to come out right now, anyways.
Yeah. I mean,
so
we were exaggerating, but like, you know.
But even if I wasn't exaggerating,
23, I think, has been done before. It can be done again.
23 has been done at a time when it took way more to make a show.
Yes.
And it takes a lot less to make a show right now because most of the effects are CG. And
well, that shit takes time, but
it takes time. But
the shooting and the lighting and the telescene, all that stuff is almost instantaneous. You can shoot a scene and already be editing it by the time right after you shot it.
Yeah.
Versus like having to go to telescene and have dailies made, and then that goes to like the offline editors, and and it's like you got to spend so much time lighting because you're shooting film, and you gotta expose it right, or it looks like a fucking nightmare. You know what I mean? It's you're right. They could be making way more episodes than they're making, and honestly, I would rather them make 6 23 episode shows, 4 of which that I really like. You know what I'm saying? Rather than 36 episode shows
that are all just kind of okay,
or maybe they're all great, but I can only watch 4. I've only got the bandwidth to watch 4 fucking shows. See, that's what the networks back in the day knew. They did the math on how much a person can literally watch, and they're like, you know, honestly, we can have something for everybody here. You know, not everybody, you know, this guy's going to watch football, he's going to watch this, and he's going to watch that. You know,
time slots.
Yeah.
You know, that's what the whole idea.
They
like
thought
the key
a
demo.
lot about it. You know what I mean? There was only so many hours in the day. I don't know when, and that's the thing. There's way more content. That's one of the reasons it leads to analysis paralysis. It's not that there's nothing to watch. It's there's so much. It's like, well, this kind of looks cool, and this kind of looks cool, and then it just kind of pisses you off after a while. It's like,
well, the funny thing is, like,
kind of cool. Nothing looks amazing.
When the scheduling is put on us, it's hard for us to determine what we want to watch. But when it's scheduled for us, you know, then all of a sudden you get stuff like you know, I think it used to be Thursday nights was NBC's comedy night. And this was when all their comedies would be out. Wednesday was their dramas, and you know they would have their big dramas on Wednesday, and you know.
Although they had ER used to come on Thursdays, after all the comedy shows.
Well, and they would always
come on at 9.
They would always do something like that. Like they would have comedies, and they would have something else to like, because they were it was programming. You know, it was very deliberate about.
They thought a lot about it.
Yeah, about okay, we're gonna have this, and then this is gonna lead into the nightly news, or it's gonna lead into Leno on the West Coast or whatever.
What's up, Diego?
Yo, Diego, welcome back to the stream.
We're two old men yelling at clouds.
Well, I feel like even the young people are yelling alongside at this point.
Yeah, I think the cracks are definitely starting to show, and it's like a bummer for a show like Fallout, which I think was a really cool show, and they really dropped it. It just it came out, and then just went away, because, I mean, it's the most popular show in the history of Amazon. They did a great job.
It's an awesome show, and it deserves to be the most popular.
Fallout, though, here's where they went right. Here's where they went right, in my opinion. So, Fallout was really cool. The game, Fallout 3, when you play it, the world, I remember just thinking, like, man, this is a really cool world. It's like the 50s, but it's the future.
Yeah.
And then like you can go to a museum and you can look at exhibits and like see the past of the world and like get an idea for what happened in the story. And you can talk to robots that'll tell you stuff. And it's just like, what a rich, cool world. That was actually what was so annoying about having to dodge bullets constantly, because I was just like soaking in all this really neat world building and stuff. So they were able to, they took all that, and instead of being like, okay, we'll take it from here, video game guys, we all went to fucking, you know, we're Ivy League Columbia story writers here. You know what I mean? You know, we know who Michel Foucault is. Let us write this shit. You know what I mean? They actually just took the fucking game and were like, okay, we gotta put this on the big screen. We need the vault suit. It looks like this. We need the thing. Everything looks like this. It's all there for us. Let's just, you know, this. We need a story that's compelling with characters.
It's almost like it's an experiment where, okay, we're adapting a video game, and obviously writers and creators, they want, you know, to have the flexibility to put their twist on things, to experiment. Like, this is my stamp on whatever this property is. And we've seen it a million times before, and there's big points of contention about whether or not, when you have a property you're adapting, are you going to be faithful to it, or are you going to present an interpretation of it? And we all saw what happened with The Witcher. When you take a popular property and then you just kind of you do freeform jazz with it, and you know, see how people adapt. And this is almost like the opposite, where it's like, we're going to go the opposite route. We're going to take this property and we are going to be as faithful as humanly possible to
really faithful.
every minute detail that the game has to offer. And the result speaks for itself in this capacity, at
because
least.
The game and the show weirdly promote each other. You know what I mean? It's like,
I mean, people are playing Fallout right now.
Yeah,
like, it got people interested in the game. Like, and it got me interested. I'm playing Fallout.
Yeah,
you know?
And
so
then people interested in the game, and then of course playing the game makes them more interested for what's going to happen in season 2, because now they're going to go back. They're going to play New Vegas. They're going to be like, oh my god, he's going to New Vegas. I can't wait for season 2. This is going to be so great. And that makes a lot of sense. If you can do it and you can write a good story, and it's, you know, that makes a lot of sense. The Witcher, they could have played into they
could have done the same thing.
They could have done the exact
same thing.
You know what I mean? They could have, you know, instead of, even with Henry Cavill as the Witcher.
Yeah, he wasn't the issue.
You know, they could have, you know, they could have done the
same thing. Like, oh man, Novigrad, that looks awesome, or Velid, oh, this looks, and all that sort of stuff. Or, oh, they're going to the fucking, conclave or whatever it might be. Whatever it could have been, like, man, he's getting the... I remember doing this quest where I have to fucking, kill the baby or whatever that fucking thing was. Like, all of that could have been done, and it could have been met with much more acclaim than it ended up getting met with. And I feel like this is, like, the proof of that concept. Like, this show did an amazing job. In addition to the fact that, like, it just looked good. Like, it looked really good.
It did. The special effects. And to Jonathan Nolan's credit, I wasn't really bagging on him earlier. But to his credit, he said that they were like, we went and shot. Like, we didn't want to do this in front of a green screen. We didn't want to do it in front of a volume. We went to the beaches. We went to the desert. And you can tell it's on the screen.
Yeah.
Man, that makes such a huge difference. You know what I mean? It just makes it feel more real. It makes the stakes feel, the whole thing feels like, we can already watch the shit on a game and see it look kind of fake. You know what I mean? It's like the whole point of watching a live action thing is to see what it rendered realistically.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And all the actors did an amazing job.
Yeah, I love that guy.
This guy, like, man, he was so easy to hate, like, at the top. Like, I didn't like this guy. Like, the actor was fucking phenomenal. But I didn't like the character. And then I started to get ingratiated with him a little bit. And then it's like, well, actually, he's still kind of annoying. But, like, when they go into that vault and he's, like, in the robe eating popcorn, that was when I was like, okay, this guy's awesome.
She comes in, he's like, I'm ready to have sex now. That was great.
Like, no, like, the dynamic between these two. And the whole time I was watching it, I was like, this is what Ray and Finn should have been. Like, I just kind of get that vibe, like, and it just was done a lot better than that, obviously, but I love their dynamic. I loved, like, the way that they meet and travel together and whatnot. It all felt really organic. They work off of each other really well. Walton Goggins' character...
Well, he is always great, but he was
always great.
Extra great in this show.
Yeah, in every capacity. I was talking with Royal, who's doing the art for my comic. We were talking about this last week. There was the scene in Fallout where Walter Goggins is shooting a commercial.
Yeah.
And it's shot like an old commercial from like the 50s. And she had the exact same thing she said exactly what I thought when I watched it. And is that he looked exactly like a movie star from that era.
Yeah.
Like, he just had this real classic movie star look. And Walton Goggins, when you look at him, he's kind of a weird-looking dude.
He's definitely a weird-looking dude.
He's a weird-looking dude.
What I love about him, though, is he's just leaned into that shit. You know what I mean? He's like he's not trying to, he's just like, all the parts he plays, like Baby Billy on fucking Righteous Gemstones. I mean, he's really great.
First time I was introduced to Walton Goggins?
The Shield.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, dude.
Like The Shield, and I remember...
Just another time!
And I remember seeing him in that fucking game thinking, this guy looks weird as hell. Who is this dude? Shane, yeah. But that particular detail of him shooting, and they made a weird dude like him look like he belonged with Jimmy Stewart and Cary Grant and all of that. Like, that's a part of, like, the production design of the show that was like, oh man, this is fucking spot on.
Yeah.
Like, there was a lot of attention to detail and care that you could see in shots like that I really, really, really liked. And it also helped me understand the world that dude came from, because, like, there's a lot of conversation in his old era about, like, commies and all of that sort of stuff. It's like, okay, I understand, like, this is a Cold War vibe. This is the Cold War era. I never understood if Fallout was fictionalized America.
It is. It's a parallel reality.
This is
something I actually...
Because I never understood that. I never knew.
Yeah, it is. And I want to say that I'm not sure... The show makes it seem like the war happened in the 60s. And
that's what I thought.
And it's 200 years after that. In the games, although they say the games in the show are in the same continuity down to like the day or some shit, so I'd have to read it. I could have missed it in the show, but the games basically take place in the future before the war. The war actually doesn't break out until like 21 something or 2070 or something. I mean, I'm just guessing, but it's like in the future, because we never really get beyond the 60s. Like our culture stagnates. Technology goes up, but culture stagnates in the late 50s, early 60s.
However, somebody explained it to me as like the lack of a transistor being invented or something like that.
Well, what's crazy is that maybe this is wrong, but it seems like in this parallel reality, there's a lack of God. There's no religiosity in the 50s and the 60s. You know what I mean? Compared to what it was in our 50s and 60s. If you think about it, no one talks about no one's praying, no one's, you know what I mean? No one, like, there's
no reference.
There's no reference.
The closest you get to that is after the disaster with the Brotherhood of Steel.
Yeah,
dude, that's like a chaplain or whatever.
Yeah, that's the first time you hear about it. You'd think it would be big time in the anti-commie stuff and all the 50s stuff, God and Country, all that stuff. You know what I mean? Going to church on that was a huge aspect. And so I was thinking maybe it's an unsung, maybe it's not even not mentioned. Maybe it's mentioned somewhere, just not in the parts of the canon that I'm. But maybe it's a deal where, because they weren't so religious in this parallel reality, they developed better technology. You know, that's why they have robots and all this fucking like weird body hacking shit that we don't have, and you know, I don't know.
Yeah, maybe that's why they didn't feel so morally restricted in dropping a bomb on people for capitalistic purposes.
Although honestly,
that's tracks with, you know.
I kind of think corporations that actually made the most sense.
Yeah.
They're like, honestly, we could just bomb these motherfuckers ourselves.
Well, it kind of makes the most sense.
In.
I was literally watching it and I was like, what's the profit motive here if they destroy all of society? Like, who's paying them after everything, after the bombs drop? Like, what is going on here? Like, what's the pull? What's the motive? So, like, I still never really quite understood that part of it. But
yeah, I guess, you know what I mean. If you drop bombs, and the idea is you sell vaults.
Yeah, it's like
you're not in the vault business anymore. But I think it's bigger than that. They're talking about at the end, it's the idea that if they could destroy the world, but their vaults keep everybody alive, you know what I mean? In some kind of future. The thing is that the vaults are all experiments, right?
Yeah.
All the really important people are all frozen and will be woken up in the future after the radiation's all gone to be the only people on the planet. That's what the guy says. He's like, time is the ultimate weapon of mass destruction. You know? I
just don't understand why, like, I can understand why, like, a religious cultist might want to do that. I don't understand why someone seeking a profit would want to do that.
I think they wanted the American way to life to prevail, you know? And they want. I mean, there might be other reasons too, but I think it's a combination of those things. You know what I mean?
All right, Lulu sends a quote. The main reason the world of Fallout looks like a continuation of the 1950s is because it's designed to fit into the retro-futuristic aesthetic. Essentially, Fallout took what people of the past imagined the future might look like and made it so those predictions came true.
Yeah, it's like a retro-futuristic version of like
the Jetsons and shit.
Yeah, it's like the kitchen of the future, but in the future, everyone looks like the 50s still.
Yeah.
And I mean, they've got. Yeah, I mean, like, I think there's an in-canon, in-world reason, you know what I mean, for the fact that it stagnated beyond that point.
Yeah. All right, I don't want to hold you up any longer. If you gotta take your kid to
6 o'clock in the morning. It's gonna come pretty early.
Yeah, wait, what time is it?
Midnight almost. Got a couple of random work emails like a few minutes ago. Well, this was fun.
Yeah, it was good catching up. It's been a while.
Yeah, too long.
You gotta come back soon so that we can finish talking about Shogun and what was the other show?
Night Country.
Night Country, yes.
I mean, Night Country.
I mean, I did a video over Night Country.
Yeah, there's not a lot there, but Shogun seems to be pretty great.
So I gotta finish Shogun, so I guess that's my my incentive to actually finish that show. It's so weird. I saw a report like a few weeks ago about how production studios are looking for shows, like they're looking for shows that aren't intense. Like they want shows that people can have on in the background while they're like browsing their phone or doing other things. So like they're specifically looking to create shows for those reasons. And I remember reading that and being like, what the fuck? That's why Taylor, like a lot of the time people watch,
I know where you're going with this.
A lot of the time people watch shows because like people put shows on the background because they've already seen it or something.
Yeah.
And it's just, you know, comfortable. They know what they can follow it without having to follow it because they know where it's going. I'm like, this is a dumb idea, whatever.
And then you watch Shogun.
I can't watch Shogun the way that
you can't fuck around with that
if
shit.
I watch Shogun with like a friend of mine, like and we're sitting on the couch or whatever, then I can focus. Like, because I'm watching it with somebody and we can comment back and forth. But if it's me, like just lying in my bed watching Shogun, like I'm on my phone and then like, you know, they're speaking Japanese and like I'm not following the subtitles and I'm looking up and I'm like, what the fuck? What the fuck? And I have to go back.
You have
and
to
like,
watch it. And it's like every bit of dialogue is pretty important.
It's all super fucking important.
And everyone's name, you know, their names are all different, right?
Yeah.
But you can't. They say them so fast that you can't really.
If you're not trained to hear, I have some training, so I understand when it's like Toshigawa-san or something like that. I'm like, oh, they're talking about, or you know, or Anjin. You know, it's like, oh, okay,
well,
they're talking
with
about
that you get after a while,
But you know, if you're not even with like my limited recognition, if you're not really paying attention, then you may as well not have the show on.
Oh yeah, it's
so
true.
Like,
you can easily like coast through like an hour of that show and have no idea what happened.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah, so
I do love the fact that it's all in subtitles. Like, I think it's great that they're not speaking English with like Japanese accents. It's a little weird that all the English is Portuguese. You know what I mean? Like,
no, that's actually historically accurate. The Portuguese were the ones who first started having a lot of.
No, I'm just saying. I know it's historically accurate, but it's. I know they gotta
just
have some
not used
English.
to it or something, or,
or
that they're just not speaking Portuguese.
Exactly. Like they're speaking Japanese, but everyone else that's not speaking Japanese. There's only two languages in the show: Portuguese and Japanese. Yet we hear Portuguese. It's rendered in English.
In English, it's English with a Portuguese accent. Yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah,
well, the British guy doesn't have a Portuguese accent. He's got a British accent, and he's speaking Portuguese. You know what I mean? It seems like they could just...
The main dude?
Yeah.
Well, he's British.
Yeah, but he speaks Portuguese. He speaks to her. She doesn't speak English. She speaks Portuguese. So when he's talking to her, they're speaking in Portuguese. He says early on in the show that he speaks Portuguese. That's how he's able to speak to pretty much everybody there.
Oh, but they just speak in English.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't pick up on that. I just thought they both spoke English.
No. She only speaks Portuguese.
Oh, okay.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Now you're getting it.
That's, you know, I could have done better without knowing that little factoid.
I'm sorry, man.
I mean, not that it ruins anything, but it's like, oh,
why
okay,
why not have her speak English? Well, you can't, because English people have never shown up there, so they can't do that. It's got to be Portuguese, and they don't want to have the whole show be
subtitles
in two different languages that Americans don't speak.
Yeah,
they're kind of hoes, but it's crazy they do all the Japanese in Japanese.
Yeah, well, okay, that makes sense though. That makes sense. But yeah, I gotta finish watching that show, and then we can talk about that. But that's a discussion for another time. I think I'm gonna end the stream. So thank you everybody for joining us. I appreciate it. Lulu, Diego, thank you for joining us. Toaster, hope your back feels better soon.
Yeah, get some rest, dude.
Arachnid, who popped in earlier, I hope you're having a good night, and I hope to see you guys when I stream again next, which should be tomorrow. So tune in tomorrow. I'll probably be playing Fallout, or I might play the boxing game again. It's been a while.
Was it you and me that were playing Ring King that one time?
We played Ring King a long time ago. Yeah. That game was...
It was awful.
Boxing games are fun. I don't know. Like, they don't make them anymore. Like, boxing fell off after MMA had its rise.
Yeah.
But I actually...
There's only room for one orc sport.
Yes, it is an orc sport for sure. But you know what? It's an orc sport I like, so... Anyways, take it easy, everybody. I'll hope to see you all on Friday. Later. Did that mute? That did not mute.